Chapter 706. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Mi Zixia was slightly taken aback. It was as if she hadn't expected Du Xiaofu to be so blunt and go along with the flow. Congratulations, Martial Uncle Du, my name is Guzong. Right at this moment, a hearty voice sounded out, and a young man who wasn't tall but was extremely tall and sturdy arrived before Du Xiaofu and bowed respectfully. It was precisely Guzong, who originally had great hopes of becoming the champion of the artifact symbol master competition. Du Xiaofu looked at Guzong and felt that Guzong's attitude was much more sincere. He smiled faintly and said, "No need to be so polite. You're quite skilled in refining weapons. I was just lucky to win a little." Du Xiaofu could tell that Guzong's attainments in weapon refinement were not low. If he did not rely on the secret soldier art, it would be difficult for him to surpass Guzong in weapon refinement. Martial Uncle Du, you must be joking. The ability to integrate beast energy is not something we can compare to. Guzong bitterly smiled. He had only heard of inscribing beast energy on practitioner weapon refinement from rumors. This time he had truly witnessed the method of inscribing beast energy on a practitioner weapon, and his heart was shocked. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. After bidding farewell to Mi Zixia and Guzong, he turned around and gestured to Yu Wanli to leave. He had used up too much energy and needed to recover as soon as possible. As Du Xiaofu walked down the square, the Manchu disciples of the World Society immediately crowded around him. The group of people left the square in a grandiose manner. With Du Xiaofu's departure, the highly anticipated Talisman League competition slowly came to an end. This fellow is always able to give people unexpected surprises. Not long after, in the main hall of the ancient Sky Sect, Sima Tuxing's face was filled with shock. His glass-like eyes couldn't help but ripple. That kid is a freak, an absolute freak. I really don't know where his master came from and who could train such a disciple. Protector Hao was shocked. His gaze fluctuated as he sighed. He then looked at Sima Tuxing and asked, Sect Master, Du Xiaofu has the pill formula to strengthen spirit roots, the refining method to integrate beast energy, the profound origin pill, and the berserk pill. These are things that even our ancient Sky Sect doesn't have. If we... Protector Hao, do you think it's that kid's idea? Sima Tuxing faintly smiled and said, origin pill and the berserk pill. Let's see if Elder Huang and the others can't help to extract the pill and the refining pill. As for the spirit increasing spirit powder pill, it should be easy. The spirit increasing pill. Spirit increasing spirit pill as spirit pill as spirit pill and origin pill and berserk pill, and see if origin stone pill and Ken's origin spirit pill. Es Shizes? Axu is. Protector, Hao's eyes lit up with joy. Sima Tuxing nodded and said, Go, but don't let that kid know. The people we send out to investigate should be back soon. A person can't appear out of thin air. He must have some background. He has been out for so long. I believe there should be news soon. Protector Hao nodded and then turned to leave. Sima taking Xing sat upright as if he was thinking about something. Then he smiled and muttered, Now that this brat has appeared, I'm afraid some people will be restless. If you don't seek death, you won't die. Why bother provoking that brat? I'm afraid their intestines are green with regret now. Dusk fell. The curtain of night had become more and more blurry. The sky that was filled with sunset gradually became dull. Stars appeared in the vast sky above the mountains. They hung in the dark blue sky. The undulating foothills entered one's sight. That kid Du Xiaofu has become the leader of the Symbol Alliance. The Symbol Alliance is no longer under our control. I'm afraid something will happen. That kid is still wet behind the ears. I'm afraid there are some things that he can't see clearly. I'm afraid he won't be able to see what's inside, even if we give him some benefits. That may not be the case. Even if that kid can't see it himself, there will be others who will remind him. It will be extremely disadvantageous for us at that time. I didn't expect Ms. Zixia to fail as well. Otherwise, so many things wouldn't have happened. Let's wait and see. That kid can't do anything by himself. I'm afraid there are some things that we can't see through. Who made the decision to provoke that kid Xiao Zhao? Otherwise, he wouldn't have participated in the Symbol Alliance competition, and all these things wouldn't have happened. In the darkness of the night, a voice resounded from within a talisman array and restriction seal set up in a courtyard. 2 days later, when Du Xiaofu appeared in the Outer Sex World Pavilion, his pale face was now rosy. Du Xiaofu had also changed into a new purple robe. However, the wide sword that had been wrapped in a purple cloth on his back was still carried on his back. The World Pavilion had also been refurbished. It was even more magnificent than before. President, I'm so tired these 2 days. Many people want to join our world society, including many inner sect disciples. In addition, many disciples ask when the Profound Essence Pill, Berserk Pill, and Talisman Weapon will be sold. There are also Spirit Increasing Powder. Many Talisman Masters have secretly come to the World Pavilion, hoping to buy the Spirit Increasing Powder refined by President. They say they can pay any price. On the 3rd floor of the World Pavilion, Gu Zhangyu took a deep breath after he finished speaking. His face was full of smiles and excitement. These days, those senior brothers and sisters of Spirit Talisman Masters, who usually ignored him, were extremely polite in front of him. They were just short of groveling, which made Gu Zhangyu very proud and relieved his anger. Back then, the 4C's sect had wrongly accused the World Pavilion of selling medicine. After President won the Symbol Alliance competition, all the negative effects had disappeared. After the Symbol Alliance competition, the World Pavilion became even more popular. The price of Profound Essence Pill, Berserk Pill, and other elixirs in the black market became even more outrageous. Hearing Gu Zhangyu's introduction of the past 2 days, Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and said, "Spread the news. In the future, World Pavilion will only be open for sale 4 times a month. A small portion of the next batch of Profound Essence Pills, Berserk Pills, and Talisman Weapons will be sold in 7 days. The VIP members with the highest rank will have priority." Gu Zhangyu was slightly stunned. Then he smiled and nodded to Du Xiaofu. "Opening 4 times a month will save us a lot of time. We won't have to watch the World Pavilion every day. However, many Talisman Masters want to buy Spirit Increasing Powder. What should we do?" Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and said to Gu Zhangyu, "Spread the news that Talisman Masters who have completely joined the World Society will have a chance to obtain the Spirit Increasing Powder. Currently, the Spirit Increasing Powder is not for sale." "President, you mean?" Hearing this, Gu Zhangyu was stunned. Then a smile appeared on his face and he said, "Haha, now we won't have to worry about those Talisman Masters not joining our World Guild." Du Xiaofu smiled and then his brows moved. His clear eyes suddenly flashed with coldness as he said, "There are some other things that should be dealt with in the next 2 days. President. As Du Xiaofu finished speaking, Wang Mingchao's voice sounded and he rushed to the 3rd floor. "Senior brother Wang, what's wrong with you? Why are you so flustered?" Gu Zhangyu asked Wang Mingchao. Wang Mingchao's face was filled with shock. After taking a deep breath, he said, "It's Wantless. He's waiting downstairs and says he wants to see President." "Wantless is here?" Hearing this, Gu Zhangyu was shocked as well. It was as if he had encountered something extremely shocking. "Who is Wantless?" Du Xiaofu asked Wang Mingchao and Gu Zhangyu. From their shocked expressions, it was not hard to tell that this Wantless was not an ordinary person. "President, this Wantless is not an ordinary person. He's currently ranked 5th on the alchemy ranking. What is he doing here?" Gu Zhangyu was puzzled. A person ranked 5th on the alchemy ranking would not be here for a stroll. If he was here to cause trouble, it would be extremely troublesome. 5th on the alchemy ranking? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and said to Wang Mingchao, Since he's here, let him come up. We can't refuse him. Okay, I'll bring him up. Wang Mingqiao nodded and went downstairs with a shocked expression. An existence like the 5th on the alchemy ranking was definitely out of his reach under normal circumstances. President, I've heard some gossip about Brother Wantless. Do you want to hear it? Gu Zhanyu asked Du Xiaofu. As a person ranked 5th on the alchemy ranking, it was inevitable that there would be some gossip in the Manchu. Tell me about it. Du Xiaofu was interested. Gu Zhanyu smiled and immediately lowered his voice to Du Xiaofu and said, It's said that Wantless is a prince of an empire. However, he was born of the emperor and a barbarian woman. He was ostracized in the palace. Fortunately, his martial arts talent is extremely high. After joining the ancient Sky sect, his status in the Manchu is not to be underestimated. Dong dong! As Gu Zhanyu's gossipy voice fell, the corridor creaked. Then, at the door, a young man slowly walked in. Gu Zhanyu automatically stood aside. There's still one more update. 3 updates in a row. Chapter 707. The young man was tall and slender. He stood there quietly, exuding an otherworldly aura. She was wearing a simple and plain Buddhist robe, but it couldn't hide her beautiful and charming figure. The young man's head was shiny and there were 9 marks on it. It was very eye-catching. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with confusion as he looked at the obviously extraordinary young man who was dressed as if he had just walked out of a remote mountain temple. The young man's gaze landed on Du Xiaofu. He didn't even look at Gu Zhanyu as he said, I need the spirit-increasing powder, the more the better. As long as I have it, I am willing to pay any price. The young man's lips curved into a smile as he spoke. His thin lips were red and had a seductive look. Even a girl would be mesmerized by his red lips. Another good-looking guy. Du Xiaofu sighed. If this guy had some hair on his head and wasn't bald, he would be as good-looking as Mi Zixia. Looking at the bald young man, Du Xiaofu did not need to guess to know that this person was the 5th on the alchemy ranking, Wu Qiu. After looking at him for a while, he shook his head and said, The spirit-increasing powder is not for sale. I can't help you. I am willing to pay any price for the spirit-increasing powder. Wu Qiu looked at Du Xiaofu. His clear eyes were filled with desire. You are not a talisman master, so the spirit-increasing powder is useless to you. Seems like the person who needs it is very important to you. Du Xiaofu asked. For years ago, my sister's spiritual root was injured. I joined the ancient Sky sect in hopes of finding a way to heal her spiritual root. But I have been searching for a long time. 2 days ago, I heard that your spirit-increasing powder can heal the spiritual root. So I want to try, Wu Qiu said. His words were short and clear. Du Xiaofu looked at Wu Qiu and said, You are willing to do anything for your sister. I am willing. Wantless nodded without hesitation. Du Xiaofu looked straight at Wu Qiu. After a while, he seemed to have made a decision. He threw the 3 jade bottles to Wu Qiu and said, Once a month, soak your body in water and absorb the effects of the medicine. I'll give you 2 years' worth of spirit-increasing powder. If this spirit-increasing powder is effective on your sister's spiritual roots, she should be fully healed in 2 years. Wu Qiu was stunned. Du Xiaofu threw the 3 bottles to him. His eyes flashed with surprise. What do you need me to do? As long as I can do it, I'll do it. You don't have to do anything. This is my gift to your sister, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. But you don't know my sister? Wantless' eyes were filled with doubt. But I know her brother, Du Xiaofu said. I still don't understand. Wantless' eyes were filled with doubt. He didn't understand the purple-robed youth in front of him. Because I also have a sister. No, I have 2 sisters. I'm willing to do anything for them, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. Wantless' eyes were filled with ripples. He looked at Du Xiaofu for a while and put the bottles into his chinkuan bag. He said, I owe you a favor. If you want me to pay you back, you can come to me any time. Wu Qiu didn't say anything. He turned around and left. Phew! After Wantless left, Gu Zhangyu stood up. His forehead was covered with cold sweat and his face was pale. Although Wantless' aura was restrained, Gu Zhangyu, who was close to him, felt as if he was being suppressed and his qi stagnated. I heard that senior brother Wantless is a loner in the Manchu. He is not polite to anyone, even me Zixia. I didn't expect him to be so polite to President, Gu Zhangyu said as he looked at me Zixia's back. Du Xiaofu smiled and did not say anything. President. After Wantless left, Wang Mingchao's voice could be heard again. He rushed to the 3rd floor of the World Pavilion. Senior brother Wang, did someone come again? Gu Zhangyu asked when he saw the anxious Wang Mingchao. Senior brother Guzong is here. He wants to see President. Wang Mingchao looked at Du Xiaofu and said, President, do you want to see him? Why is senior brother Guzong here? Gu Zhangyu was also stunned for a moment. Although Guzong's ranking on the gold ranking was not as high as Wu Qiu's, all the disciples in the sect clearly knew that, as a weapons symbol master, Guzong's attainments in refining weapons were second to none among his peers in the ancient Sky sect. His status in the sect was extremely high. There were even rumors that with Guzong's current development, it would not be difficult for him to become an elder of the ancient heaven sect one day. It's quite lively. Since he's here, let's see him. Du Xiaofu smiled. A moment later, Guzong went upstairs. His sturdy and burly body gave off an explosive feeling of power. He looked more like a martial arts cultivator than a talisman master. As one of the best in the art of artifact forging among his peers, Guzong's position in the sect was also extremely special. Although his ranking on the gold roll was low, Guzong's status in the hearts of the disciples of the Manchu was extremely high. Any disciple who saw him had to be respectful. Everyone knew that they could ask someone to refine a talisman tool or Dao tool at any time. Besides, talisman masters and medicine talisman masters never lacked friends. These people were the most difficult to provoke. I want to learn the art of refining. May I ask for Martial Uncle Du's guidance? Guzong looked at Du Xiaofu. From the look in his eyes, this decision seemed to have been carefully considered. When Du Xiaofu heard this, he smiled. The Manchu has many art of refining. I believe that they will all be open to you. That's not what I meant. Guzong shook his head and said to Du Xiaofu, I want to learn Martial Uncle Du's art of refining that incorporates beast energy. I know that this art of refining is not something that can be easily taught. Therefore, I am willing to agree to any conditions, even if you want me to be your disciple, as long as Martial Uncle Du can teach me the art of refining. Hearing Guzong's words, Gu Zhangyu and Wang Mingchao, who came downstairs with him, were stunned. Then they looked at Du Xiaofu. The art of refining is indeed not something that can be casually taught. I don't intend to accept a disciple now. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. He looked at Guzong and said, If you really want to learn the art of refining, it's not like there's no way. What way? As long as I can do it, I will definitely do it. When Guzong heard this, his eyes lit up. He thought that there was no hope. If you join the World Society, I can teach you the art of refining. You can also obtain the spirit increasing powder to improve your spiritual roots. Du Xiaofu said seriously. His clear eyes flickered with a faint golden light. I will join. I can join now. I have never joined any faction in the Manchu. I can join the World Society at any time. Guzong nodded without hesitation. He wholeheartedly focused on refining. Although he had made a name for himself in the Manchu, he had never joined any faction. But now, for the art of refining, Guzong was willing to join the World Society without hesitation. It's not as simple as joining. Du Xiaofu shook his head at Guzong. The factions in the Ancient Heaven sect were different from those in the outside world. Generally speaking, the factions formed by the disciples of the Ancient Heaven sect would cease to exist once they left the Ancient Heaven sect. At most, they would be able to maintain a friendship. Behind the disciples of the Ancient Heaven sect, most of them had a huge family or faction. Some even had a huge empire behind them. The ancient heaven sect had more than 100,000 permanent disciples. Who knew how many princes, princesses, nobles, and ministers there were? How could such a disciple casually join another faction? The factions in the ancient heaven sect were formed by the disciples forming factions. The biggest benefit of joining was to pave the way for the future and build a good relationship. On the other hand, it was to fight for more cultivation resources in the Manchu. But once they left the ancient heaven sect, such a faction was equivalent to nothingness. There were not many restrictions. After a slight pause, Du Xiaofu said to Guzong seriously, "What I want is for you to truly join the World Society and become a member of the World Society. Even if you leave the ancient heaven sect in the future, you will still be a member of the World Society. I believe you should be very clear about everything, so I don't need to say more." Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Wang Mingqiao and Gu Zhangyu's expressions changed. They seemed to have understood something. At this moment, Guzong's expression changed slightly. There was hesitation in his eyes. He naturally understood everything. If he joined the World Society, he would truly join the World Society in the future. You can think about it carefully first. It won't be too late to tell me later, Du Xiaofu said to the hesitant Guzong with a smile. Guzong raised his head and looked at Du Xiaofu. There was a slight fluctuation in his eyes as he said, "I wonder if I have to do something else after joining the World Society." "No need. It's fine as long as you don't betray the World Society," Du Xiaofu said to Guzong. "The World Society will absolutely not interfere with the family behind you." "Okay, I'm willing to join the World Society." Guzong nodded when he heard this. He couldn't refuse that kind of refining technique. Chapter 708. Welcome to the World Club. Du Xiaofu stood up and walked in front of Guzong. "From today onwards, you're a member of the World Club. I'll tell you more about the World Club in the future, but it's not appropriate for the Manchu to announce this to the public yet." "I understand." Guzong nodded. The Manchu wouldn't allow their disciples to form a faction. If the Manchu knew about this, there would be a lot of trouble and the consequences would be dire. "I'll give you the method of refining the weapon with beast energy in the next 2 days. Before that, I still have some things to do." Du Xiaofu nodded and said to Guzong, "Is it because of the World Club? Since I have joined the World Club, I naturally have to help solve its problems. I didn't join purely for the method of refining weapons. I've also heard about the situation of the World Club. In the next 2 days, I'll try my best to persuade a few alchemy talisman masters and weapon talisman masters who are close to me to join the World Club. I believe it won't be a problem. What do you think?" Guzong had already changed the way he addressed Guzong. He definitely didn't join the World Club purely for the method of refining weapons. "That's great. Thank you." Du Xiaofu nodded. The alchemy talisman masters that Guzong knew wouldn't be simple. If they could join the World Club, they would naturally be able to solve World Pavilion's current problems. After a while, Guzong left. Only Wang Mingqiao, Gu Zhanyu, and Du Xiaofu were left on the 3rd floor of World Pavilion. Gu Zhanyu and Wang Mingqiao lowered their heads and looked at each other. After understanding each other, Gu Zhanyu looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Leader, can we really join the World Club?" During this period of time, after everything that happened in the World Club, Wang Mingqiao and Gu Zhanyu knew clearly what they could get by following the purple-robed youth. More importantly, they knew that the purple-robed youth in front of them was fearless for the sake of the ordinary disciples. Chang Qinghai, by Yi Chen, Fei Qingming, and the others had taken great care of the World Club's disciples. His talent was unparalleled, and his future was boundless. He could become a super expert that could shake the entire Central State continent. If they followed him, they would naturally have a chance of a meteoric rise. There would not be many opportunities like this in one's lifetime. If he missed this opportunity, it would be difficult for him to get another one like this in the future. Of the World Club, World Club, and Wang Mingqiao and Guzong, World, of World Club, of the World Club in front, World. You 2-inch you. 2-inch of the world of Chong. Gu Zhangyu and Wang Mingqiao were overjoyed. They knew what to do. President, there have been a lot of disciples joining recently. Some of the outer sect disciples are still manageable. However, there are some inner sect disciples that we can't handle. I'm afraid that there will be a lot of talisman masters joining in the next 2 days. With senior brother Wang's and my reputation in the Manchu, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle them, Gu Zhanyu said to Du Xiaofu. His expression was worried. He didn't have much confidence. Recently, there were a lot of disciples joining World Club. They were naturally able to handle the outer sect disciples. However, some of the inner sect disciples were not ordinary. They were proud and arrogant. They even had forces supporting them. Gu Zhanyu and Wang Mingqiao knew that their reputation in the Manchu wasn't enough to handle those inner sect disciples. Moreover, once the news of World Club being able to obtain spirit-increasing powder spread, many talisman masters would join World Club. Most of the talisman masters were inner sect disciples. Although Gu Zhanyu was also a talisman master, he knew that he wouldn't be able to handle the situation. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment. Then he said to the two of them, "If you can't handle them, just reject them. If you can't handle them, you can find Guzong. I think he should be enough to handle them." "President, I understand." Gu Zhanyu nodded. With Guzong around, even if the people on the alchemy roll came, he would be able to handle them. Du Xiaofu said with a smile, "I'll be in seclusion for a few days. There are some things that I need you to investigate for me. However, don't alert the enemy. Just find a few steady and smart people to do it. I'll make a decision after I come out of seclusion." After a moment, Du Xiaofu left World Pavilion. He went straight back to his nest on Heaven Eye Peak and plunged into the ancient, desolate space. In the ancient sky sect, Du Xiaofu won the Talisman League competition, and it was a grand slam. For a moment, the entire ancient sky sect was in an uproar. His name had already spread to the outside world. News began to spread from World Pavilion again. Many people were surprised and shocked that Guzong of the Alchemy Roll had joined the World Society. Guzong, who had never joined any faction, had actually joined the World Society. This was a little strange. As long as a talisman master joined the World Society, he would be able to obtain the spirit-increasing powder. In the Talisman League competition, Du Xiaofu had refined the spirit-increasing powder that could strengthen the spirit root. Elder Huang had personally verified the spirit-increasing powder, so no one had any doubts. In just a few days, many free talisman masters had begun to join the World Society. It was said that many talisman masters had begun to withdraw from their original factions and wanted to join the World Society. The spirit-increasing powder could strengthen the spirit root. This was an irresistible temptation for any talisman master. 6 days later, dusk crept in from the distant mountains. In the area of Heaven Eye Peak, a wisp of evening fog slowly rose up and curled around the peak. Whoosh, whoosh! A purple-robed figure flew out of the peak and disappeared in the direction of the outer sect. World Pavilion, the place where the Manchu had been abuzz with discussion recently, was currently in an argument. The World Society is really arrogant. We intended to join, but they only relied on an outer sect disciple. Are they looking down on us? On the first floor of World Pavilion, a well-dressed youth had a gloomy expression. Behind him were 4 extraordinary youths of similar age. The 5 youths were all around 22 or 23 years old. From the badges on their shoulders, they were all inner sect disciples of the ancient heaven sect. The aura emanating from their bodies could affect one's mind and soul. Furthermore, they were all talisman masters. Senior Brother Zhou, please forgive us. The president is in seclusion. Senior Brother Hao, Senior Sister Mu, Senior Sister Qiao, and Senior Brother Mo are all in the secluded area and have yet to come out. Therefore, we can only receive Senior Brother Zhou. Gu Zhanyu said to the well-dressed youth with a respectful tone. Just an outer sect disciple. Just because you have the world society behind you, you think you can raise your status? You want to use Qiao Ingmeng, Judge Hao and Mo Win to suppress me? Who do you think you are? You don't have the right to speak in front of us. The well-dressed youth didn't put Gu Zhangyu in his eyes. As an inner sect disciple and a talisman master with a ranking on the gold roll, why would he put an outer sect disciple like Gu Zhangyu in his eyes? Senior brother Zhou is right. The world society doesn't put us talisman masters in their eyes at all. They actually let a small outer sect disciple send us away. Why should we join? It's fine if we don't join such a world society. I'm afraid that the spirit increasing powder that they can get is fake. They just want to trick talisman masters into joining the world society. Behind the well-dressed youth, the 4 youths who followed him all agreed. Outside World Pavilion, there were already many onlookers who were whispering to each other as they watched the argument inside. Senior brother Zhou, you're too serious. Our world society welcomes any talisman master to join, but the president and the other senior brothers and sisters are all in seclusion. If senior brother Zhou isn't willing to join the world society, our world society won't force you. Gu Zhangyu straightened his body and his expression and attitude started to become unyielding. Hee. Hearing this, the well-dressed youth was stunned for a moment. Then he sneered at Gu Zhangyu. His face turned cold as he said, "What a good Gu Zhangyu! You really think you're so impressive? You're just a small outer sect disciple. Do you believe that even if I cripple you, it won't be a big deal? If senior brother Zhou wants to put on airs, then you've come to the wrong place. This is the World Pavilion. If you want to put on airs in the World Pavilion, I advise senior brother Zhou to restrain himself. Even if you cripple me, the president and the other senior brothers and sisters of the World Society are all in seclusion and can't see you." Gu Zhangyu wasn't afraid. He raised his head and puffed out his chest. If it was in the past, he would naturally be afraid. But now he had the World Society behind him, so he wasn't afraid. He couldn't lose face for the World Society. Even if he was crippled, he couldn't lose face for the World Society. At the same time, Wang Mingqiao, Zhang Yingwen, and the rest of the World Society's disciples immediately stepped forward and stood close to Gu Zhangyu, ready for battle. Haha, what a good outer sect disciple. You're really impressive. The well-dressed youth's gloomy face started to turn cold. He said gloomily, "Since you don't know what's good for you, then I'll fulfill your wish." Chi! As the well-dressed youth's voice fell, his expression turned cold. An extremely terrifying aura suddenly burst out from his body. His figure was like lightning. With a wave of his hand, a palm print directly shot out and slapped towards Gu Zhangyu. Boom! The World Pavilion's space shook violently. This terrifying aura had already surpassed that of a 6-star talisman master. It was far from what Gu Zhangyu, Wang Mingqiao, and the rest could contend against. The terrifying palm arrived in front of Gu Zhangyu in an instant. Chi! While everyone was still in shock, a golden energy rune beam directly pierced through space and landed on the palm print of the young man in luxurious clothes. Dang, dang! When the two collided, a dazzling brilliance exploded. Before the surrounding gazes could see clearly, they saw the well-dressed youth stagger and stumble back. Chapter 709. Ah! The young man in luxurious clothes screamed in agony. There was a finger-sized hole in his palm and blood was flowing out. "It's really lively here." A faint voice was heard and the crowd outside the World Pavilion became restless. Then a purple-robed young man walked out. It was Du Xiaofu. "Greetings, President." Gu Zhangyu regained his senses when he saw Du Xiaofu. He felt as though he had just escaped death. He immediately bowed to Wang Mingqiao, Zhang Yingwen, and the rest and said respectfully, "Greetings, President." Du Xiaofu nodded his head in acknowledgement. His gaze slowly swept across the surroundings before finally landing on the young man in luxurious clothes who had just been injured and the 4 young men behind him. Seeing Du Xiaofu's gaze, the 5 young men's eyes trembled, and they couldn't help but take 2 steps back. The World Pavilion welcomes talisman masters to join. However, if anyone wants to cause trouble, don't blame me for being impolite. Du Xiaofu looked around and his indifferent voice echoed in everyone's ears. Is this how you welcome me? The young man in luxurious clothes endured the pain and sealed the acupuncture point on his hand to stop the bleeding. He gritted his teeth and his expression was terrible. You attacked in the World Pavilion and didn't put the World Pavilion in your eyes. Why should I welcome you? Don't you think so? Du Xiaofu looked at the young man in luxurious clothes and said, You think you can do whatever you want just because you're the leader of the Talisman League? I don't want to join the World Pavilion. The young man in luxurious clothes was livid. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said to the 4 people behind him, Let's go! After he said that, the young man in luxurious clothes was about to leave. You attacked in the World Pavilion and didn't put the World Pavilion in your eyes. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to leave so easily, Du Xiaofu said indifferently with a slight smile on his face. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the 5 people who were about to turn around suddenly stiffened. After a moment of silence, a trace of anger flashed across the youth's pale face as he said in a deep voice, Du Xiaofu, what do you want to do? Do you dare to kill us in Manchu? There's no need to kill all of you. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. His gaze was so calm that it made the 5 of them tremble. He said in an indifferent voice, However, since you guys are so presumptuous in my World Pavilion, if I let you guys leave now, anyone else will be able to act presumptuously in the World Pavilion in the future. Therefore, I cannot let you guys off so easily. You dare? Do you really think you can do whatever you want in the Manchu? I'm leaving right now. What can you do about it? As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes slightly as a cold smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. Just as the young man in luxurious clothes turned around to leave, his figure shot out like a ghost. What do you want to do? The young man in luxurious clothes suddenly trembled as if he had sensed something. He quickly turned around as a dazzling light enveloped him. I'm just teaching you a lesson. An indifferent voice that contained an icy chill rang in the ears of the young man in luxurious clothes. At the same time, before the light energy around the young man in luxurious clothes could completely surge out, a palm print had already landed on his back. Bang! The muffled sound was not loud, but the body of the well-dressed young man suddenly trembled. A mouthful of blood mist was wildly spat out from his mouth. His body immediately flew forward and heavily landed on the street dozens of feet away. The fall caused the cracks on the street to continuously spread. Run! The expressions of the remaining 4 young men changed drastically. After being stunned for a moment, they regained their senses and immediately ran away. You want to leave? Then leave. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly as he shook his purple robe sleeve. His palm directly slapped the backs of the 4 youths. A terrifying golden talisman, rune, surged out like golden lightning. Bang, 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 bang! The 4 figures were swept out of the World Pavilion in an instant. The ferocious power contained in the golden talisman made the 4 of them unable to resist at all. Blood spurted from their mouths as they fell heavily beside the young man in luxurious clothes, who had just landed on the ground. They were all in an incomparably miserable state. Du Xiaofu's clean and efficient attack caused everyone in the surroundings to be stunned. Probably not many would have thought that Du Xiaofu would really attack those soul talisman masters, and not lightly at that. Those 5 youths probably wouldn't be able to recover for at least a few months. President, what's going on? It's so lively. A voice rang out and the crowd became restless. Soon after, everyone saw several figures slowly walking over. The one in the lead was Guzong of the Gold Roll. The people behind him also looked like soul talisman masters. It's Senior Brother Guzong. I heard that Senior Brother Guzong has already joined the World Club. There's also Senior Brother Chiuyu and Senior Brother Pai. The crowd whispered. The news of Guzong joining the World Club had already spread out. Du Xiaofu looked at Guzong and smiled. It's not a big deal. There are a few people who don't put the world pavilion in their eyes. I'm just teaching them a lesson. Guzong smiled and nodded at Du Xiaofu. He looked around and said, since they don't give the world pavilion face, then they should be taught a lesson. In my opinion, this lesson is still light. I'm just afraid that they won't remember it for long. Du Xiaofu's eyes moved. Although Guzong looked simple and honest, he was definitely not a soft-hearted person. Du Xiaofu also understood that Guzong's words in front of everyone was also an opportunity to express his stance to everyone. From now on, anyone who dared to provoke the world pavilion would be going against Guzong. Those who were observant would naturally understand. Du Xiaofu smiled. Just teach them a lesson. I believe that their memory will be good. I hope so. Guzong smiled and said, President, let me introduce you. This is Junior Brother Qiuyu, Junior Brother Pai, Junior Brother Zhangzhe, and Junior Brother Bao Jiqiang. They all want to join the World Club and have a good relationship with me. Hence, I brought them here as a referral. Greetings, Uncle Master. Du behind Guzong, for young men stood out and bowed respectfully. No need for formalities. Welcome to the World Pavilion. Du Xiaofu nodded and smiled. He peeked at the aura of these 4 people. They were all 6-star talisman masters. One of them was even 6-star Nirvana realm. As soon as he finished speaking, Du Xiaofu threw a few jade bottles to Qiuyu and the rest. He said, This is spirit increasing powder. It can strengthen a talisman master's spiritual root. We're all brothers in the World Club. When you run out of spirit increasing powder, come and find me for more. Spirit increasing powder. This is spirit increasing powder. Qiuyu and the rest held the spirit increasing powder in their hands. They joined the World Club mainly because of spirit increasing powder. They didn't expect to get it right after joining. Talisman masters who join the World Pavilion can really get spirit increasing powder. Some of the onlookers were envious and whispered. No one would pay attention to the talisman masters who were severely injured. After a while, on the 3rd floor of the World Pavilion, Du Xiaofu handed a few jade bottles and a jade scroll to Guzong. He said, This is spirit increasing powder and a refining method that you want to fuse with beast souls. Thank you, President. Guzong nodded and accepted the spirit increasing powder and jade scroll. He didn't say much. President, the few people who came to cause trouble today, the leader is called Zhou Lianxi. He's ranked 100th on the alchemy ranking. His major is medicine talisman master, and his minor is formation talisman master. I heard that he's quite close to Qiao Zhao. I'm afraid that some people purposely arrange for him to cause trouble, Gu Zhangyu said to Du Xiaofu. President, now that you've become the leader of the Talisman League, I'm afraid that some people won't accept it. Some factions in the Manchu will definitely secretly obstruct you. This is very normal, Guzong said. You seem to know something. Du Xiaofu asked Guzong. Guzong smiled bitterly and said, There are many factions in the Ancient Sky sect. For example, the Four Seas Gang, Yunji Club, and Forgotten Dust sect can only be considered as the top factions. The true strongest faction in the Ancient Sky sect is the Gue Yi League. The Gue Yi League, Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. It seemed that the Ancient Sky sect was also very complicated. Guzong continued, The Gue Yi League is not simple. The leader is Mi Zixia. Many of the people on the alchemy ranking are disciples of the Gue Yi League. They also have the most inner sect disciples. However, very few people know that there's someone behind Mi Zixia. The Gue Yi League is extremely powerful and is the #1 faction in the Manchu. Most of the cultivation resources sold by the Manchu businesses are actually controlled by them. This Gue Yi League is really not simple. There's someone behind Mi Zixia. Could it be the 2 people at the top of the alchemy ranking? Du Xiaofu asked. The only people who could be behind Mi Zixia were the 2 people at the top of the alchemy ranking. It's not the two people at the top of the alchemy ranking. The two of them are very mysterious and have never participated in the outside world. Guzong shook his head and said, the Gue League has existed for a very, very long time. Other factions in the Manchu will eventually collapse and disappear, but the Gue League has always existed. It's said that it has existed for more than a few hundred years. For such a long time, Du Xiaofu was truly surprised and shocked. Factions formed by disciples usually dissipated when the main disciples left the Manchu. However, the Gue League was able to stay in the ancient heaven sect for hundreds of years. How deep were their roots? This was indeed not simple. Rumor has it that there are many protectors and elders behind the Gue League. Mi Zixia and some disciples are just on the surface, Guzong said in a low voice. Could it be that the Manchu doesn't care if the elders and protectors are involved? Du Xiaofu asked curiously. According to Du Xiaofu's estimation, the ancient heaven sect wouldn't let this continue. They definitely wouldn't ignore it. I don't know why the Manchu doesn't care. It's not good for us to ask too much about this. In short, no one can touch the Gue League in the Manchu, Guzong said with a bitter smile. Gue League, Du Xiaofu muttered softly. Then he asked Guzhang, have you investigated the matter I asked you to investigate a few days ago? Chapter 710. Yes, we have people following them for the past 2 days. We know where they are and what they do every day, Guzhang said mysteriously. Du Xiaofu smiled and said, then we can sell the Berserk pill and Xian Yuan pill tomorrow. However, there are some things that need to be settled today. 2 figures walked slowly on the mountain road in the ancient heaven sect. One of them was tall and the other was fat. However, both of them had extraordinary auras and looked to be around 22 or 23 years old. Why is there no news about Du Xiaofu recently? I heard that some people in the Talisman League are planning to show him who's boss. Although he won the Talisman League competition, he's new here and won't be able to convince everyone. Of course, most of the important people in the Talisman League are under Senior Brother Mi Zixia and Senior Brother Chao Zhao. Even if Du Xiaofu becomes the leader of the Talisman League, he won't be able to do anything. The 2 young men whispered to each other as they walked slowly. Suddenly, the 2 of them seemed to have sensed something at the same time. They paused and looked up. A green-robed figure appeared in their line of sight. There was a long sword wrapped in purple cloth on his back. It's Du Xiaofu! The 2 of them trembled when they saw the figure in front of them. Who in the ancient heaven sect did not recognize the green-robed figure? I heard that the 2 of you almost lost your lives after consuming the Xian Yuan pill and Berserk pill. I'm here to find out what happened. Du Xiaofu looked at the 2 people in front of him. They were the 2 people he asked Guzhang and Wang Mingqiao to find out more about. Run. When the 2 of them heard this, they looked at each other in dismay. Their eyes trembled, and for some reason, their expressions changed greatly. After that, their figures trembled at the same time. Profound qi surged out from their bodies, and they turned around and fled. You can't escape. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. His figure flashed like lightning and appeared in front of the 2 people who had just rushed out. A terrifying golden light burst out and directly swept in front of the 2 people. Bang, bang! The 2 young men were instantly sent flying backward. Blood spurted out from their mouths as they fell heavily on the ground. They were unable to resist at all. At dusk, the setting sun was like blood. Thousands of people suddenly gathered inside and outside the World Pavilion, causing the main streets of the outer sect to tremble. President, all the disciples that can come have arrived. Wang Mingqiao ran up to the 3rd floor of the World Pavilion and reported to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu smiled. He turned around and said to Guzong, many talisman masters, as well as Gu Zhangyu and Zhang Yingguan, let's go down too. Some debts have to be settled. This is the first time I've participated in such a lively event since entering the ancient heaven sect. Guzong smiled. At dusk, the outer sect Main Street was in an uproar. Thousands of people from the world's assembly rushed towards the Four Seas Trading Company, which was a trading company opened by the Four Seas sect. What? Du Xiaofu personally led a team here? Within the Four Seas Trading Company, a quick-witted young man with a strong aura trembled. Du Xiaofu had personally led thousands of disciples from the world's assembly here. He naturally knew what was going to happen. What are you trying to do? How dare you? The Manchu won't let you off. Our Four Seas sect won't let you off either. The quick-witted young man rushed out of the Four Seas Trading Company and shouted at Du Xiaofu. However, in the face of the aura of over 1,000 disciples surrounding the Four Seas Trading Company, he could not help but tremble in fear. All he wanted to do was to find a chance to escape and inform the gang leader. I'm just seeking justice, Du Xiaofu said coldly. His figure instantly appeared in front of the quick-witted young man, and a claw landed on his shoulder like a bolt of lightning. Bang! He then threw the young man far away. Blood dripped from his mouth as he struggled to get up. Chi! Du Xiaofu smiled and put away a Qiankuan pouch into his bosom without leaving a trace. Run! Quickly run and inform the sect leader. The expressions of the dozens of young men and women behind the quick-witted young man changed as they retreated in panic. Brothers, the Four Seas sect smashed our world pavilion. Now it's time for us to take revenge. Gu Zhangyu shouted and rushed out. He pushed back a young man and directly rushed into the Four Seas Trading Company. Charge! The members of the world's assembly shouted and moved together. The dozens of disciples of the Four Seas sect immediately let out miserable wails. The members of the world's assembly who had been bullied by the Four Seas sect naturally did not hold back now that they had revenge. Du Xiaofu faintly smiled. His figure was like a ghost as he swept into the Four Seas Trading Company. He unceremoniously took all the medicinal pills, refining materials, elixirs, martial skills, soul weapons, and symbol weapons in the Four Seas Trading Company. When Gu Zhangyu, Wang Mingqiao, Zhang Yingwen, and the others saw their president's actions, they were all slightly startled. Then they understood and smiled. They did not hold back and were like wolves and tigers. Gu Zong walked into the Four Seas Trading Company. When he saw the scene in front of him, he was stunned for a moment. He was almost flabbergasted. After that, Gu Zong saw that there were quite a number of refining materials beside him. He looked to his left and right, and a wave of energy gushed out from his palm, directly sucking them into his Qingkuan bag. His face still had a calm and indifferent expression. The quick-witted young man who had been sent flying by Du Xiaofu had gotten up and quietly appeared at the entrance of the trading company. He was about to enter the trading company. Gu Zong's figure appeared in front of the quick-witted young man. It was unknown whether it was intentional or not, but he directly hit the young man's body. The young man's withered body was sent flying for more than 10 feet, and he really could not get up. In just a quarter of an hour, the Four Seas Trading Company was swept away. Dozens of people from the Four Seas sect on the ground screamed and wailed. The crowd of onlookers was stunned. It's time to go to the Cloud Aspiration Trading Company, Du Xiaofu said. Then, under the personal leadership of Du Xiaofu, thousands of people from the world society rushed toward the Cloud Aspiration Trading Company. The Cloud Aspiration Trading Company was the trading company of the Cloud Society. It was slightly bigger than the Four Seas Trading Company and was enough to be ranked as one of the top 10 trading companies in the ancient Heaven sect. What do you world society want to do? Impudent. In a short time, dozens of people from the Cloud Aspiration Trading Company screamed again. This time, Wang Mingqiao, Zhang Yingwen, Gu Zhangyu, and the others rushed into the Cloud Aspiration Trading Company. Gu Zong's figure was not slow either. The dignified Cloud Aspiration Trading Company was swept away in less than a quarter of an hour. President, next should be the Dust Treasure Pavilion. Gu Zhangyu smiled. The Dust Treasure Pavilion was the trading company of the Forgotten Dust Sect. Set up the formation and resist the world society. Inform the sect master. As the Four Seas Trading Company and the Cloud Aspiration Trading Company were swept away. The nearby Dust Treasure Pavilion seemed to have received the news and made preparations. Although Bai Chen was not there, there were 3 Martial King Realm cultivators and many Martial Lord Realm cultivators. They even set up an extremely powerful combined attack formation. This was naturally not a big problem for Du Xiaofu. In addition, Guzong and the few 6-star Spirit Talisman Masters beside him intervened. They almost immediately disintegrated the combined attack formation. Poochie, Du Xiaofu made his move. With a sweep of the Fu Yao heaven-shaking wings, the 3 Martial King Realm cultivators were sent flying, unable to withstand a single blow. Seeing the 3 Martial King Realm experts unable to withstand a single blow, the 200-plus Forgotten Dust sect disciples who had gathered trembled. Attack! The members of the World Society, who had long been unable to endure, rushed out. Waves of profound qi surged, and dazzling runes immediately joined forces to suppress them. A few 6-star Spirit Talisman Masters also made their move. The people of the Forgotten Dust sect could not resist at all. A few Martial Lord Realm cultivators also took advantage of the chaos and were heavily injured by Du Xiaofu. After that, Du Xiaofu, Guzhang Yuang Mingchao, Zhang Yingguan, Guzong, and the others also took the opportunity to rush into the Forgotten Dust sect like wolves and tigers. After a while, they all came out with satisfaction. In just one evening, Du Xiaofu led the World Society disciples to sweep away the 3 trading companies, heavily injuring many of the 4C sect, Forgotten Dust sect, and Cloud Aspiration sect disciples. This shocked all the disciples of the Ancient Heaven sect. They finally witnessed Du Xiaofu's fierce methods. After the Talisman League competition, Du Xiaofu did not appear. Everyone guessed that perhaps Du Xiaofu had just entered the sect and was still young, so he should not make any big moves against the 4C sect. However, they did not expect that on this evening, Du Xiaofu would finally show his fierce side. He had no intention of letting the 4C's sect go. The 3 trading companies were swept away one after another. After that, many trading companies that had participated in smashing the World Pavilion's vassal forces were also swept away by the World Society without mercy. Many forces started to feel fear. At this moment, some people finally saw clearly that not only was Du Xiaofu's strength terrifying, but his methods and character of seeking revenge for the slightest mistake were also not to be trifled with. This settling of accounts after an autumn's fall made people's hair stand on end. Martial Uncle Du is going to make a big move. The 4C's sect is unlucky. The disciples of the Manchu whispered. Some forces trembled, but only the forces that had targeted the World Society were dealt with. The other forces were unharmed and were not targeted by the World Society. At night, the Ancient Heaven sect was in an uproar. The 3 trading companies and many small trading companies were swept away. It was said that a large amount of cultivation resources were also swept clean. I will definitely not let that Du Xiaofu go. Chong Tringhai was furious. Definitely not. Chapter 711. This is too much. Du Xiaofu and I cannot live under the same sky. Fei Qingming's eyes flashed coldly as he roared furiously. Bai Chen frowned and said, "The 3 of us might not be able to do anything to Du Xiaofu. Moreover, Du Xiaofu now has Guzong by his side. He already has wings and is no longer the same as before. Maybe we provoked the wrong person back then and were used as chess pieces. But we can't just let it go. We were wiped out and suffered a great loss." Chong Qinghai said angrily. His company was worth a city, yet it was swept clean. How could he tolerate that? Bai Chen, what do you think we should do? Fei Qingming asked Bai Chen. We can't count on the Talisman Alliance. Du Xiaofu is the leader of the Talisman Alliance now. I heard that the 2 vice leaders haven't been decided yet. We can only rely on ourselves. Bai Chen raised his head and looked at Chong Tringhai and Fei Qingming. He said, "We can only ask the Manchu to come out and make a big deal out of this. The bigger the better. Once the Manchu comes out, it'll be beneficial for us. Someone can take the chance to suppress Du Xiaofu. I don't believe the Manchu can protect him forever. Only then can we get our revenge." "Okay, we'll listen to you." Fei Chengming nodded. "But before that, we need someone to intervene. If we can get him to help, our chances will be much higher." Bai Yichen said. Fei Qingming asked, "Who should we ask for help?" Bai Yichen smiled and said, "Chao Zhao." At night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. "Patriarch, there's trouble." Inside a side hall on the main peak of the ancient heaven sect, Protector Hao had a helpless expression as he spoke to Sima Taxing. "That Du Xiaofu fellow really took action. I heard that he led thousands of disciples from the World Conference to sweep through more than a dozen businesses. He heavily damaged the Four Seas Gang, the Forgotten Dust sect, and some other forces from the Cloud Society. Many of them were robbed clean, and their Qingquan pouches were also taken." Sima Taxing was stunned and said with a wry smile, "This brat is really fearless." Protector Hao continued, "Elder Huang and the others have studied the results of the Grand Restoration Pill and Berserker Pill. Without a specific recipe, it's hard to study it. Many elders have studied it for days and nights, but to no avail. It's hard. This is a difficult pill. Perhaps it came from an ancient recipe. How could it be so easily discovered? I was too naive." Sima Taxing shook his head with a wry smile and then asked Protector Hao, "What about the refining method of integrating beast energy? Did the elders study it?" Protector Hao still shook his head and said, "That's too difficult. The elders can't do anything about it. Many elders even want to find Du Xiaofu to teach them. That refining method is extraordinary." "Then what about the spirit increasing powder?" "It has a portion of the spirit increasing powder, which is equivalent to the pill formula. We should be able to figure it out by now." That kid probably didn't expect that he would leave behind some clues and leak the formula for the spirit increasing powder. Sima Taxingxing said with a smile, "With the amount of spiritual medicine left on the registration form and the amount of spiritual medicine used, there was a chance to find the prescription of the spirit increasing powder after a final comparison." "Spirit increasing powder? That little bastard is too cunning." At the mention of the spirit increasing powder, Protector Hao's face suddenly became angry for some reason. He said to Sima Taxing Star, "Elder Huang is still angry. The elixirs that kid filled in on the registration form were not complete at all. The amount used was also tampered with. He must have secretly destroyed a lot of elixirs so that we can't find out the true amount. In the end, he must have secretly added some elixirs. Elder Huang and the other elders studied it for a few days, and in the end, we discovered that the little bastard was playing tricks early on. He was guarding against us finding out the prescription for the spirit increasing powder. That little bastard is too mean. He wasted so much of our time." Sima Taxing listened to Protector Hao's words. The smile on his face immediately disappeared. After a while, he opened his mouth and scolded, "What a little bastard! He's too hateful." The next morning, there was a sea of people outside the world pavilion of the ancient heaven sect. Today was the day that the Berserker Pill and Xianyuan Pill were sold again. The news that the Berserker Pill and Xianyuan Pill were added to the pills was not valid at all. Not many people believed it. Therefore, the sale of the Berserker Pill and Xianyuan Pill still attracted many disciples. There were even many inner sect disciples who flocked to buy the Xianyuan Pill. However, the amount of Xianyuan Pill and Berserker Pill was limited. They could only be supplied to some VIP members first. The Xianyuan Pill and Berserker Pill, as well as many spiritual weapons and talisman weapons, were sold as scheduled. It caused a commotion in the World Pavilion. The other businesses could only watch from afar. "I want to buy the Berserker Pill. I want the Xianyuan Pill and a high-grade spiritual weapon. Everyone, please line up. The higher the level of VIP member, the higher the priority." Outside the World Pavilion, there was a sea of people. The noise was boiling. Rumble! Suddenly, the ground in the distance trembled. It was getting closer and closer. Then, at the entrance of the street, there was a dense group of thousands of people. There were also many demonic beast mounts in the air with figures standing on them. Roar! The demonic beasts roared, and the sound waves swept across the sky. It's the Four Seas sect. There are also people from the Yunji Association and the Forgotten Dust sect. Senior Brother Chao Zhao, Senior Brother Chang Qinghai, Senior Brother Fei Qingming, and Senior Brother Bai Yichen are all here. Needless to say, they are here for revenge. The crowd was in an uproar and immediately retreated. Facing the three major forces, no one dared to interfere. They did not want to be implicated. President, you guessed right. They are indeed here. On the third floor of the World Pavilion, Guzong seemed to have sensed something and said to Du Xiaofu with a smile, "They will naturally come. Let's go take a look." Du Xiaofu smiled and stood up. "President, our people are ready. Do you want to go all out?" Wang Mingqiao asked Du Xiaofu. "We don't have enough people in the World Pavilion. You guys don't have to interfere. Act according to the situation to avoid being taken advantage of. Just watch the show," Du Xiaofu said. Whether it was the number of people or the strength of the disciples in the world society, compared to the Four Seas Gang, Yunji Gang, and Forgotten Dust sect, they were still much weaker. Outside the World Pavilion there was a commotion. The Four Seas sect, Yunji Club, and Forgotten Dust sect, as well as many other small and medium-sized sects, amounting to no less than 5,000 people, had completely blocked off the long street. Chao Zhao, Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, and Bai Yichen were at the front. Their faces were pale. Behind the four of them, many Martial King Realm and Martial Lord Realm cultivators stood together. With such a lineup, they could probably wipe out more than half of the small empires. If you guys want to buy the Profound Energy Pill or the Berserk Pill, please line up. Du Xiaofu walked out. Behind him were Guzong and several 6-star talisman masters, followed by Gu Zhangyu, Wang Mingqiao, and Zhang Yingguan. "Du Xiaofu, you destroyed our business and injured our people. How dare you? You must give us an explanation today." Chang Qinghai couldn't help but shout when he saw Du Xiaofu. However, there was a deep fear in his eyes. "Looks like you guys are here to cause trouble. I wonder if you guys want a civil battle or a martial battle." Du Xiaofu looked at the crowd and asked with a smile, "What about a civil battle? What about a martial battle?" Bai Yichen frowned as he looked at Du Xiaofu. He didn't know why, but when he saw the indifferent gaze in Du Xiaofu's eyes, there was a faint feeling of unease in his heart. "Well said." Du Xiaofu took a step forward and waved his purple sleeve, saying, "A civil battle is a matter of reason. Whoever is reasonable wins. A martial battle is a matter of fists. Whoever's fist is bigger wins." Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, and Bai Yichen's expressions changed slightly. The threat in his words was self-evident. "Du Xiaofu, you destroyed more than a dozen businesses and injured many disciples. Do you still have a reason?" Chao Zhao said with a gloomy face. "Last night, Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, and Bai Yichen went to find him to seek justice. They followed his lead, so he had no choice but to come." Chao Zhao was very clear that if he could seek justice for Bai Yichen and the others and suppress Du Xiaofu, then the three of them would definitely listen to his orders in the future. With the three of them and himself, there was no way the four of them wouldn't be able to suppress Du Xiaofu. No matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't be able to contend against the four of them working together. Du Xiaofu was still indifferent. He glanced at Chao Zhao and said, "Why wouldn't I have a reason? A few days ago, the Four Seas Gang, Yun Zhihui, and Forgotten Dust sect smashed my world pavilion. I'm only seeking revenge. This reason is simple and clear. I believe anyone can understand." Hearing this, everyone's eyes trembled. This was the first time someone spoke of revenge in such a dignified manner. It actually made people speechless and unable to refute. Back then, it was your world pavilion that sold fake medicine. That's why we came to seek justice. As for what happened in the world pavilion, it was purely a misunderstanding. Some disciples probably didn't control themselves and caused a small misunderstanding. Bai Yichen looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "But even so, with your status, you actually brought 1,000 people from the World Summit to smash our trading company and heavily injure many disciples. I'm afraid that's a little too much. I'm only seeking revenge. You guys touched my world pavilion, so I swept your trading company. This is the most fair thing. How is this too much?" Du Xiaofu said with a smile. His words actually made Bai Yichen speechless. He didn't know what else to say. The other party had already spoken of revenge. What else could Bai Yichen say? Gu Zong had been looking at Du Xiaofu the entire time. When he heard Du Xiaofu's words, a look of surprise appeared on his face. Then, a slight smile appeared on his face. He felt as if he had learned a bit more about this president. Chapter 712. As for selling fake pills, Du Xiaofu's smiling face suddenly changed color. His expression suddenly became gloomy. He shook his purple robe and waved his hand slightly behind him. "Bring them in," Wang Mingqiao shouted from outside Tianxia Pavilion. Then, a few youths carried 2 bloodied and dispirited youths onto the stage. It was obvious that the 2 youths were severely injured. Their clothes were tattered and their auras were weak. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the 2 of them had suffered a lot. When Bai Yichen, Fei Qingming, Chang Qinghai, and the others saw the miserable state of the 2 youths, their expressions changed. The 2 of them have already confessed that they were instigated by you to say that the Berserker pill and Xianyuan pill were fake. In reality, they didn't take the Berserker pill and Xianyuan pill. They were just spouting nonsense. I have also checked their bodies, and there are no traces of them taking the Xianyuan pill and Berserker pill. Du Xiaofu's expression darkened as he looked at Bai Yichen, Fei Qingming, Chang Qinghai, and the others. His eyes were filled with coldness. Bai Yichen, Fei Qingming, and Chang Qinghai looked at each other, and their expressions changed. If the Muncha knew about this, it would be a big deal. Humph! The 2 of them were tortured into confessing. How can their words be trusted? It's obvious that you tortured them into confessing, and they had no choice but to obey. Chao Zhao looked at Du Xiaofu, and the corner of his eyes twitched. His expression darkened as he said, "Don't think that you can act like a villain just because you have become the chief of the Talisman Alliance. The matter of the Berserker pill and Xianyuan pill is related to the Talisman Alliance and should be decided by the Talisman Alliance. Although you are the chief of the Talisman Alliance now, the 2 vice chiefs haven't been decided yet. You don't have the right to decide. Looks like you want to have a physical battle since a civil battle won't work." Du Xiaofu glanced at Chao Zhao and sneered. Suddenly, a mocking smile appeared on his face as he said, "Actually, this is purely a matter between the World Alliance and the 4 Seas sect. It has nothing to do with you. Do you think I won't dare to beat you up? If we weren't in the Ancient Heaven sect, I would have already taught you a lesson." Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Chao Zhao suddenly froze, his face turning green and red. Since when had anyone dared to treat him like this, to taunt him like this, to not put him in their eyes? In just a short moment, Chao Zhao's face turned extremely gloomy. His fists were clenched so tightly that his knuckles creaked. A strong chill surged out of his body. Sensing Chao Zhao's aura, Bai Yichen's eyes flickered. He signaled Chang Qinghai and Fei Qingming with his eyes, and the 3 of them moved simultaneously. Looks like they're really going to have a physical battle. That's good. That's what I want. Du Xiaofu said softly. His deep eyes suddenly surged with a faint gold color. "President, if I go all out, I can hold one of them. 2 of the 4 Talisman Masters are Talisman Masters. I can't do anything, but I should be able to trap one of them. The remaining 2 leaders and many martial king realm cultivators are strong." Gu Zong stepped forward. A faint aura came out of his body. His eyes flickered. I'm afraid it won't go as we wish. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. He glanced at Qiao Zhao and the others and said, "But it's enough. You can deal with one of them. Don't worry about the rest. Leave the rest to me. You guys take care." "Okay." Guzong nodded. Suddenly, the aura of a complete 6-star talisman master surged out. Although it was said that talisman masters had the lowest combat strength among talisman masters, it didn't mean that talisman masters had no combat strength. Guzong, who was ranked on the gold list, was definitely not to be trifled with. Boom! As Guzong's aura surged, the 4 6-star talisman masters behind him also stepped forward. Their auras surged together, and they were ready to fight together. Junior Brother Chang will deal with Guzong. The rest will be dealt with by the others. Junior Brother Fei, Junior Brother Bai. Let's take down Du Xiaofu together. Looking at Guzong and the others behind Du Xiaofu, Qiao Zhao said to Bai Yichen and the others beside him. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura of a 6-star talisman master surged out, but it was obviously stronger and sharper than Guzong's. Okay. Bai Yichen, Fei Qingming, and Chang Qinghai nodded. Their auras suddenly surged at the same time. Rumble! Behind Bai Yichen and the others, many Martial King realm cultivators also surged their auras and stepped forward. Roar! In the air, many extremely powerful demonic beasts roared. The aura of the entire space suddenly froze. A great battle was about to happen. They're going to fight. Retreat! Martial Uncle Du, Senior Brother Qiao Zhao, and Senior Brother Bai Yichen are fighting. I'm afraid this area will be razed to the ground. Retreat quickly. In the tense atmosphere and frozen space, the surrounding disciples' faces changed, and they immediately began to retreat quickly. Oh no, I'm afraid this place is going to be razed to the ground. The people in the nearby shops were shocked. They hurriedly packed up their things and hurriedly retreated. Everyone knew that with the strength of Du Xiaofu, Qiao Zhao, and the others, once they fought, the surrounding land that was not protected by the talisman array would be razed to the ground. Du Xiaofu looked at Qiao Zhao and the others. There was no longer a smile on his resolute face. Golden light flickered in his eyes, and a domineering aura gushed out. His purple robe fluttered loudly. Attack! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's figure rushed out and took the lead. Golden light surged out, causing the surrounding void to tremble. Let's join forces. Qiao Zhao shouted and rushed out at the same time. His figure was like an afterimage as he pounced on Du Xiaofu. Whoosh, whoosh! Space trembled as Bai Yichen and Fei Qingming moved at the same time. Their profound energy surged as they surrounded Du Xiaofu. Boom! Chang Qinghai attacked, and Guzong rushed out at the same time. Their targets were each other. Swish! At that moment, there were a total of 20 Martial King realm cultivators behind Bai Yichen and the others. Among them, there were no less than 3 Martial King realm cultivators at the Nirvana realm. They pounced on the 6-star talisman masters behind Guzong. Swish! Golden light bloomed like the sun, and a domineering aura swept across the sky. A pair of golden talisman wings stretched out from Du Xiaofu's back. Majestic light filled the air, and the golden talisman wings flapped. Du Xiaofu was like a golden-winged rock descending. With the flapping of his wings, he was like a rock soaring into the sky. With an unbelievable arc and speed, he avoided the siege of Qiao Zhao and the other 2. Sky-shaking wings, stormy waves palm. A low shout came out from Du Xiaofu's mouth. Golden talisman inscriptions in his hand surged out like lightning and thunder, turning into a golden wave with a terrifying aura. Rumble! Du Xiaofu didn't seem to hold back at all. He directly swept towards the Martial King realm cultivators who were attacking the 6-star talisman masters of the world society. His domineering aura swept across the army and destroyed everything in its path. Bang, bang, bang! Du Xiaofu attacked with all his might without holding back. In an instant, 6 to 7 Martial King realm cultivators were sent flying. The surrounding shops and streets collapsed one after another. The ground shook and gravel flew into the sky. Get lost! Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and the golden talisman wings burst out with a dazzling golden light. He attacked with all his might and swept across the space like a peerless, ferocious beast. Swish, swish, swish! Waves of golden light gushed out, and the golden energy waves connected. A few martial king realm cultivators were sent flying with blood spurting out of their mouths. A few martial king realm cultivators at the Nirvana realm saw that the situation was not good and immediately fled. Where do you think you're going? Du Xiaofu locked onto those few strongest martial king realm cultivators. How could he let them escape? He directly activated the golden talisman wings and had no intention of letting those few strongest martial king realm cultivators go. Heavenly net! Du Xiaofu was already prepared. He threw out the heavenly net in his hand at those few martial king realm cultivators who were retreating. The dazzling talisman engravings connected and the aura surged forward. Rumble! In a terrifying aura that caused the space to tremble, the heavenly net turned into a giant net that covered the sky and the earth in an instant and enveloped the 6 martial king realm cultivators. Be careful, it's the middle-grade Taoist weapon, heavenly net. Those few martial king realm cultivators at the Nirvana realm activated the high-grade talisman weapons on them. One of them even had a beginner-grade Taoist weapon. However, he was still one step slower and was already bound by the heavenly net. Bang, bang. In a short moment, Chang Qinghai and Guzong were already engaged in a fierce battle. In the low sound of energy colliding, the shops and courtyards around the street were destroyed, and the streets collapsed one after another. Du Xiaofu, I'm not done with you. Qiao Zhao yelled and finally arrived behind Du Xiaofu. He condensed his hand seals, and the dazzling talisman engravings gathered to form a giant, white python shadow that looked like a living creature. Hiss, hiss! The giant white python shadow roared and emitted a terrifying aura. Its scarlet eyes and blood-red tongue made one's heart tremble as it pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Break! Du Xiaofu yelled, and a claw, print, swept out from his hand. It was filled with the domineering will of the golden-winged rock. He activated the rock's chaos-crushing claw and instantly tore the giant white python shadow into pieces. Sky Dust Tyrant Fist! Bai Yichen rushed over and formed a joint attack with Qiao Zhao. His body was glowing with radiance, and a domineering fist print was condensed. In front of the fist, there are talisman engravings wrapped around it, causing the fist to look sparkling and dazzling as it blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Boom! Powerful energy ripples spread out from the frightening fist, causing the entire space to tremble violently. Ao! A dragon roar sounded from Du Xiaofu's mouth like the roar of a divine elephant. In this instant, the earth rumbled and space trembled violently. A domineering aura surged, and the talisman engravings released ripples as they condensed into a fist with lightning like speed. Buzz! Du Xiaofu's fist swung out. A low Sanskrit sound rang out as it cut through the air. In a flash, it violently collided with the former's fist. A thunderous, muffled sound of energy immediately resounded across the area. Chapter 713. Rumble! In an instant, a terrifying energy ripple swept out like a stormy sea. The terrifying aura caused the surrounding ancient sky sect's disciples to feel their scalps go numb. The two of them were so powerful that it made their hearts tremble. Dang, dang! Du Xiaofu and Bai Yichen's figures were pushed back at the same time, as if they were evenly matched. This was enough to show Bai Yichen's strength and also proved that Du Xiaofu was not ordinary. Brat, do you really think that you can fight against the 3 of us? Fei, Chengming shouted. His figure appeared out of nowhere, and a dazzling palm print slammed towards Du Xiaofu's chest. In the past, Fei Qingming, Bai Yichen, and Chang Qinghai did not dare to attack Du Xiaofu together. However, things were different now. The 3 of them were very clear that none of them could do anything to Du Xiaofu if they were to fight him alone. If they wanted Du Xiaofu to pay the price, they could only join hands. There was no other way. Boom! The terrifying palm print instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. It was as fast as lightning, but it was actually monstrous. Bang! While many people were trembling in fear, the palm print slammed into Du Xiaofu's chest under Fei Qingming's smiling gaze. The golden halo burst out with dazzling runes. "You're not strong enough." In a flash, Du Xiaofu's face showed no fear. Instead, he smiled. However, this smile contained a hint of cruelty. With a wave of his purple robe, Du Xiaofu raised his hand. A whirlpool suddenly surged. There seemed to be mysterious runes surging. His 5 fingers clenched into a fist, and a terrifying aura erupted from his fist. In an instant, Du Xiaofu's fist print was like a bolt of lightning. It carried the power of thunder and struck Fei Qingming's chest. Bang! In an instant, a fist slammed into Fei Qingming's chest, and a muffled sound rang out. 1 palm for 1 punch. This was Du Xiaofu taking a risk on purpose. Walala! Then everyone saw that there were 13 layers of energy waves in Du Xiaofu's fist. Like a shock wave, they destroyed Fei Qingming's protective qi. Puchi! Under many shocked gazes, Fei Qingming spat out a large mouthful of blood, accompanied by the sound of bones breaking in his chest. Poor Fei Qingming was also sent flying and landed on his, but on the street dozens of feet away. PFFF! Du Xiaofu was also bleeding from the corner of his mouth. He staggered back a few steps, but he was in a much better condition than Fei Qingming. With one move, Fei Qingming was seriously injured. Everyone gasped in disbelief. No one knew that although Du Xiaofu's cultivation was far inferior to Fei Qingming's, the strength of his body was so terrifying that even 10 Fei Qingmings couldn't compare to it. If it was a real battle, Fei Qingming might have been a dead man. Now that they were in the ancient heaven sect, Du Xiaofu had no choice but to be cautious. Of course, Du Xiaofu knew that the two of them hadn't reached the point of life and death. Otherwise, even in the ancient heaven sect, with Du Xiaofu's temper, he wouldn't have held back. Heavenly Stellar Soul Suppression Array. Qiao Zhao shouted loudly. 24 array flags condensed in his hand. Those were the perfect 6-star array talisman arrays that he was about to set up. As energy poured in, Qiao Zhao's face turned pale. However, there was a sneer on his face. He had successfully bought time to set up his array. Qiao Zhao was ranked in the top 10 of the gold roll. He was ranked higher than Bai Yichen. How could he be a simple alchemy talisman master? He was also a talisman master, an extremely powerful one. If it weren't for his senior brother, Mizixia, participating in the talisman master competition, he would have participated. Whoosh, whoosh! 24 formation flags flew out at a terrifying speed and immediately wrapped around Du Xiaofu. Then, a terrifying and fierce talisman formation appeared. Rumble! When the perfect 6-star array appeared, the wind blew and the clouds surged. The earth shook and the mountains shook. The terrifying aura emitted an extremely shocking fluctuation. It was frightening. Oh no, Martial Uncle Du is trapped by a perfect 6-star array. That's the Heavenly Stellar Soul Suppression Array. It's an offensive array. Although Martial Uncle Du is extremely skilled in talisman arrays and is the champion of the Talisman Alliance Talisman Array competition, it won't be easy for him to break this offensive array in such a short time. The surrounding people were worried. The disciples of the World Society trembled. A perfect 6-star array was a terrifying existence. Even a martial royal realm cultivator could be trapped in it. TSK, Qiao Zhao sneered. Inside his talisman array, everything was under his control. It would not be easy to break the array. Crash! At this moment, a golden brilliance rushed out from the terrifying array. It was like the phantom of a 5-finger mountain. There were golden talisman runes flickering on the golden brilliance. There was a strange energy that seemed to be able to distort the void. Whoosh! Within a short period of time, a purple-robed figure suddenly appeared in front of the pale-faced Xiao Zhao like a bolt of lightning from the dazzling golden five-finger mountain illusionary figure. It was Du Xiaofu, who had just been trapped by the symbol array. How could this be? This is impossible. Xiao Zhao's sneer suddenly disappeared. Everything was beyond his imagination. He was so shocked that he didn't know what was going on. Oh no! A sense of uneasiness crawled out from the depths of Xiao Zhao's soul. He wanted to retreat quickly. Whoosh! However, it was too late. A dazzling azure gold light burst out and appeared in front of Xiao Zhao. Xiao Zhao was shocked. However, he was a perfect 6-star talisman master after all. He was also one of the top 10 experts on the ancient heaven sect's gold roll. In a panic, a talisman rune burst out from his body. He was about to make a move. Mysterious soul eye. However, it was also at this moment that a dazzling light of runes shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes, directly enveloping Xiao Zhao. Xiao Zhao's gaze instantly turned sluggish, and the runes he had condensed dissipated directly. Swish! The azure gold light burst out and turned into a sword radiance. It slashed across Xiao Zhao's left arm. Crack, crack! On the ground below, a long gully extended into the distance. Gravel shot out, and the earth shook. The azure gold talisman runes eroded everything. It was overbearing. Xiao Zhao's left arm was cut off. Ah! Xiao Zhao came back to his senses and let out a miserable cry. His broken arm was dripping with blood. Even the blood from his mouth spilled into the sky. Whoosh! Xiao Zhao let out a shrill cry. The terrifying fluctuation of the talisman formation that covered the sky faintly started to shake, and then, under the shocked gazes of many people, the terrifying talisman formation directly exploded. Rumble! The violent energy swept across the sky, causing the space to tremble violently. It was as if the sky and the earth were falling apart. Countless talisman runes collapsed. The momentum was terrifying. Oh my God! Senior brother Xiao Zhao's left arm was cut off. A perfect 6-star talisman array can't trap Martial Uncle Du. All the Muncha disciples in the distance were shocked and dumbfounded. No one expected Du Xiaofu to break a perfect 6-star talisman array in the blink of an eye. He even cut off Xiao Zhao's arm. Du Xiaofu stood in the air with the tyrannical shadow in his hand. The golden talisman wings on his back flapped. How domineering was he! Qi, by each end, stood to the side. When he saw Du Xiaofu break out of the array and cut off Xiao Zhao's arm in an instant, his eyes trembled. He was actually a little sluggish. Fei Qingming was seriously injured, and Xiao Zhao had lost an arm. A perfect 6-star talisman array couldn't trap Du Xiaofu. By each end didn't dare to act rashly. He knew that he couldn't do anything to Du Xiaofu alone. Ah! Xiao Zhao screamed and quickly sealed his acupoints to stop the blood from spurting out. His face was as pale as ash. He stared at Du Xiaofu with hatred, but he didn't know what else to do. Under such an unforeseen event, there was a faint feeling of silence in the surroundings. This scene appeared too quickly. Before everyone could recover from their shock, they saw the great change in the battle situation. Xiao Zhao was already seriously injured. The remaining Bai Yichen probably didn't have any chance to resist Du Xiaofu anymore. Du Xiaofu floated in the air, the golden talisman wings flapping. A domineering aura that suppressed everything spread out. He stared coldly at Xiao Zhao and said, "What are you? You can't even withstand a single blow. If you have the ability, continue to attack. Let's see if I dare to destroy you." Xiao Zhao trembled, his face as pale as ash. His eyes were filled with hatred, but he really didn't dare to move forward. Under that domineering aura, his heart was trembling. Bai Yichen, what about you? Du Xiaofu looked at Bai Yichen and shouted. His body erupted with golden light. How domineering was that? Bai Yichen didn't speak. He stepped back slightly, his heart trembling. At this time, Bai Yichen realized that he had underestimated the purple-robed youth in front of him. This guy couldn't be understood by common sense. Sometimes, The rules of the Manchu didn't work in front of him. Du Xiaofu didn't care about Bai Yichen anymore. He took a step forward and headed towards the few martial king realm cultivators who were still suppressed by the nets of heaven. There were a total of 6 martial king realm cultivators. 6 of them activated their talisman weapons, and one of them even activated a primary grade Taoist weapon to resist the nets of heaven. Although these 6 martial king realm cultivators weren't completely restrained by the nets of heaven, they couldn't escape. Their faces were very pale. "Do you really think that I can be provoked by you? Since you're here, then pay the price." Du Xiaofu shouted coldly. His figure appeared under the nets of heaven like a ghost. He activated the tyrant shadow, agile like a flying dragon, soaring into the sky and domineering like a rock shaking the sky. Swoosh! Du Xiaofu swept out with his sword. The space trembled and golden light filled the sky. The arm of a suppressed martial king realm cultivator who was holding a primary grade Taoist weapon was cut off from the shoulder. "Provoking me? Do you really think that my temper is small?" Du Xiaofu attacked again, and the sword light in his hand swept out again. "I also have a temper." Du Xiaofu slashed out with his sword again. The sword light filled the sky, and the scene was terrifying with 6 consecutive slashes. The 6 arms of the 6 martial king realm cultivators that were holding weapons were cut off. 4th update. Chapter 714. Blood-curdling screams filled the air as fresh blood splattered on the streets below. Du Xiaofu's 6 sword strikes were executed without any delay. All the spectators below watched in horror. Du Xiaofu's strength made them tremble in fear. His ferocious attacks today were beyond the imagination of the ancient Sky Sect's disciples. No one had expected Du Xiaofu to severely injure so many martial king realm experts. His attacks were so ferocious that several martial king realm experts were killed. Who else dares to make a move? Du Xiaofu stood with his sword in hand as he shouted. His body was surrounded by a golden light as if he was the sun. His aura was terrifying. The surrounding disciples of the 3 major forces trembled in fear as chills ran down their spines. They looked at the purple-robed young man in the sky. Who would dare to provoke that young man? If it weren't for Bai Yichen and the others, they would have fled long ago. Du Xiaofu, you've gone too far. I'll report this to the elders. They won't let you go. The Manchu won't let you go either. Chang Qinghai, who was fighting with Guzong, shouted. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Du Xiaofu. However, he couldn't help but focus on dealing with Guzong's attacks. "Humph!" Du Xiaofu sneered. He leaped out and pounced towards Chang Qinghai. He slashed at Chang Qinghai with his sword. Whoosh! The golden sword radiance shot towards Chang Qinghai along with wind and thunder. Chang Qinghai's expression changed. Although he had the upper hand in dealing with Guzong, it wasn't easy for him to deal with Guzong. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's sword slashed towards him. Chang Qinghai immediately dodged in panic. He used a lot of techniques and finally managed to avoid Du Xiaofu's attack. When Bai Yichen saw Du Xiaofu pouncing towards Chang Qinghai, his expression became serious. However, he gritted his teeth and didn't show any signs of attacking. "Du Xiaofu, I'm not done with you." Suddenly, a streak of lightning-like light shot out of nowhere, radiating with an extremely terrifying presence. It was extremely abrupt as it pressed towards Du Xiaofu with lightning-like speed. It was a fist-sized pearl. It was crystal clear and blue. It was like a stream of water as Du Xiaofu's about Du Xiaofu. It was Xiaofu Yichen. Roar! At the same time, a dragon's roar. A dragon's roar. The dragon's shadow appeared in the sky. It was a dragon's. The grade and power of that light ball was definitely not below Du Xiaofu's heavenly net. Sea Dragon's dragon. Is Senior Chang's dragon, Senior Chang Chang. Dragon Senior Chang Chang. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. They didn't expect Chang Qinghai to secretly activate the treasure on him. Looking at the sea-suppressing dragon soul pearl rushing over, Du Xiaofu was extremely calm despite its terrifying aura. The tyrannical shadow in his hand suddenly disappeared. Wang! Then a golden fan appeared in front of Du Xiaofu in his palm. The golden cattail leaf fan appeared, its overbearing and sharp-spirited curvature seeming like it was formed by nature. Layer upon layer of golden feathers, its appearance was fierce and domineering. It was wrapped in mysterious runes like the golden wings of a great pung, causing one to feel a rush of excitement just by looking at it. As the golden fan appeared, golden light flashed and spread. A vast and domineering aura swept out, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Boom! In an instant, golden light shot out in all directions high up in the sky. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Du Xiaofu swept out with his fan as the dazzling azure ball of light flew over. Hula! As the fan swept out, golden runes flickered in the golden light. It was as if a golden winged rock had spread its wings and soared up. What a terrifying aura! Even my meridian soul is being suppressed. This is the aura of the rock. Is that treasure related to Martial Uncle Du's rock? High-grade Dao artifact. This must be a high-grade Dao artifact. This domineering and terrifying power caused the hearts of the surrounding disciples to tremble. Even their meridian souls were affected. Rumble! The golden runes flickered, and the golden light was dazzling. It was as if countless golden lightning bolts were flashing. In the end, they arranged themselves in the sky. A golden-winged rock appeared, looking down at the world. It flapped its wings and covered the sky, suppressing the world. At this moment, the dragon shadow on the sea, suppressing dragon's soul pearl, seemed to have seen its nemesis. It trembled and was shattered by the fan. Hula! The dragon shadow dissipated and turned into runes. Then the sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl fell from the sky and lost its original luster. Take! As he spoke, Du Xiaofu took Chang Qinghai's sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl. Puchi! It seemed that under the influence of the sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl, Chang Qinghai, who was fighting fiercely with Gazong, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Du Xiaofu, what are you doing? Give me back my sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl. Chang Qinghai shouted and used all his strength to push Gazong back. He definitely could not lose the sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl. His figure immediately pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Profound Soul Eye. Just as Chang Qinghai pounced, Du Xiaofu once again activated the Profound Soul Eye. The dazzling light of the runes enveloped the panicked Chang Qinghai, causing his eyes to suddenly lose focus. Hula! Du Xiaofu didn't delay in the slightest as the skyquake fan in his hand swept out once more, and the silhouette of a golden-winged rock flashed out as if it covered the sky and covered the sun. It swept through the sky while carrying a golden light that shot into the sky, and it seemed to have pierced through the sky as it fiercely smashed onto Chang Qinghai, who had just returned to his senses. Puchi! Chang Qinghai spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body directly smashed into the messy street. The impact caused many shops to crack and rocks to explode, turning into fine powder and then into gravel on the ground. Du Xiaofu rushed over, the golden rune wings on his back flashing. He swooped down like a rock, the sea-suppressing dragon's soul pearl and the Fu Yao heaven-shaking fan in his hands disappeared. Boom! Du Xiaofu's figure landed beside Chang Qinghai, who had just smashed into the ground. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his face was pale, but his eyes flickered with a golden light. A claw print that was like a rock's claw directly grabbed Chang Qinghai's shoulder. Kacha! Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, countless eyes were filled with shock. Du Xiaofu's sharp claw print landed on Chang Qinghai's shoulder, and with a destructive force, directly tore off Chang Qinghai's right arm from the shoulder. Walala! As blood splattered, Du Xiaofu's purple robe was dyed red with blood. Ah! Chang Qinghai screamed miserably. That wail of pain caused everyone who heard it to feel their hair stand on end and their scalps go numb. The entire square was silent, and the eyes of all the onlookers trembled. He directly tore off Chang Qinghai's arm, causing blood to splatter everywhere. How fierce and bloody was this? How fierce and overbearing was this? Although the disciples of the ancient heaven sect competed every day, and the competition was extremely fierce and cruel, no one had ever seen such a brutal scene. Qi! Du Xiaofu threw Chang Qinghai's severed arm into the distance. His eyes flickered with a golden light, and his face revealed a cold smile. Coupled with the fact that his body was drenched in blood, he looked even more fierce. Who dares to make a move? Du Xiaofu shouted loudly and stood proudly. His overbearing aura swept out. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The last few martial king realm cultivators who were fighting with the 4 6-star talisman masters of the world society did not dare to make a move after seeing this scene. They all shouted and quickly retreated. No one dared to believe that Du Xiaofu would be so fierce when dealing with Chang Qinghai, Chao Zhao, and the others. He was like a peerless, fierce beast. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Everyone was so shocked that they found it hard to accept the fact. Those were 4 experts who were ranked in the top 10 of the alchemy roll. Now, 3 of them had ended up like this. Retreat, quickly retreat. Bai Yichen was also shocked. Du Xiaofu had cut off Chao Zhao's arm and tore off Chang Qinghai's arm. This made him feel a lingering fear. There was nothing that the purple-robed young man did not dare to do. Following Bai Yichen's words, the thousands of people immediately began to retreat. Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, and the other trusted aides gathered their courage and fearfully supported Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, Chao Zhao, and the others down. Get lost. All of you get lost. If you don't get lost, I'll teach you a lesson. All the disciples of the World Society recovered from their shock and immediately shouted loudly. They taunted the thousands of people from the 3 superpowers who were retreating. Too powerful. The surrounding onlookers were so shocked that they could not recover for a long time. That purple-robed young man was so terrifying. Everyone knew that this time Chao Zhao, Chang Qinghai, and the others had really bumped into an iron plate. There were more than 10 forces, led by the 3 great forces. There were more than 5,000 disciples in total. They came quickly and left quickly as well. One by one, they fled, not daring to stay. This time they were truly afraid. President, are you all right? Guzong came to Du Xiaofu's side, and his eyes trembled slightly. He was secretly shocked. I'm fine, just a small injury. Du Xiaofu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his sleeve, and a smile appeared on his face. Chang Qinghai, Chao Zhao's injuries are more serious. I'm afraid that the people behind them will definitely come out. You'll be in some trouble, and the trouble might not be small. You have to be prepared. Guzong reminded Du Xiaofu. He looked at the large number of buildings and courtyards that were razed to the ground and sighed inwardly. Du Xiaofu slightly raised his head and slightly frowned. Then he smiled and said, I'll make arrangements. Just wait for them to come. President, do you want to take some healing elixirs? You're injured. Several 6-star talisman masters came forward. They could only admire Du Xiaofu in front of them. In the battle just now, their president was so powerful and domineering. No, I can't take any healing elixirs yet. Du Xiaofu smiled and asked the 4 people, Are you all right? We're fine. It's no big deal. A young man said with a smile on his pale face. They were sincerely convinced by the purple-robed young man in front of them. He had single-handedly crippled several fellows in the top 10 of the alchemy list. How fierce was that? Chapter 715. Guild leader, are you all right? Gu Zhangyu, Wang Mingqiao, Zhang Yingguan, and many others gathered around. It's nothing serious. I have to go and do something. It might take a long time. You guys take care of Tianxia Pavilion. Du Xiaofu said to Gu Zhangyu, Guzong, Wang Mingqiao, and the others. Guild leader, what should we do now? Gu Zhangyu was in a difficult position. The surrounding streets and shops had been razed to the ground and turned into ruins. Tianxia Pavilion wasn't spared either. In the end, it was also razed to the ground by the terrifying energy. Luckily, all the cultivation resources had been collected early on. Continue to sell the cultivation resources that should be sold. Do whatever you need to do. I'll take my leave first. Du Xiaofu said to Gu Zhangyu and the others. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew into the air and left. Looking at Du Xiaofu's back, Gu Zhangyu and the others were stunned. They could only smile bitterly. A moment later, a strange scene appeared on top of a pile of rubble on the messy street. Gu Zhangyu actually placed 2 long tables on the rubble and continued to sell cultivation resources. He sold the Xianyuan pills and berserk pills that he hadn't sold out yet. As for the lively scene, it was still a sea of people, and people were rushing to buy things. It did not seem like there had been an astonishing battle earlier at all. Swoosh! Du Xiaofu flew into the air and turned into a rainbow as he flew towards Tianmu Peak. On the main peak of Tianmu Peak, Du Xiaofu landed in front of the courtyard and saw his 3rd senior brother, Yu Wanli. Junior brother, what happened to you? Seeing Du Xiaofu covered in blood, Yu Wanli was shocked. Not to mention that this was his junior brother. If anything happened to him, even his master wouldn't forgive him. I got into some trouble. Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, Bai Yichen, and Chao Zhao brought more than 5,000 disciples to attack me. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. He knew that there would be some trouble this time. To be on the safe side, since his master was not around, he could only look for his 3rd senior brother. Damn bastards! The 4 of them brought over 5,000 disciples to surround. Hearing this, even Yu Wanli, who had always been rather indifferent, jumped up and cursed. For experts in the top 10 of the alchemy leaderboard, leading over 5,000 disciples to surround and attack his junior brother. This made Yu Wanli unable to remain calm any longer. Senior brother, you don't have to worry. I didn't suffer any losses. It's just a small injury. They are much worse off than me. Du Xiaofu chuckled. He naturally knew how miserable the other party was. In comparison, he didn't suffer much. Du Xiaofu was only slightly injured after forcefully resisting Fei Qingming's attack, but it wasn't too serious. I didn't lose out. Yu Wanli was stunned. The worried expression on his face immediately turned into a smile. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, It's good that you didn't lose out. It's fine as long as you didn't lose out. But I'm afraid there will be some trouble this time. So I came to ask 3rd senior brother for advice. Du Xiaofu said. He then explained the general situation to 3rd senior brother, Yu Wanli. There was nothing to hide in front of 3rd senior brother. However, when Yu Wanli finished listening to Du Xiaofu's explanation, he was also dumbfounded. The expression in his eyes changed as he looked at Du Xiaofu. You are really ruthless. You even razed a few of the outer sect's business streets to the ground. In the end, Yu Wanli could only smile bitterly. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, But it's better for others to suffer than to suffer a loss. I'm afraid that we'll have to discuss this matter properly. The people behind Chao Zhao are not simple. There are many elders behind him. Chang Qinghai, Bai Yichen, and Fei Qingming also have elders behind them. Plus, you became the chief of the Talisman League a few days ago. They won't let this matter go. We are somewhat outnumbered. Yu Wanli's expression became serious. 3rd senior brother, when will Master come back? Du Xiaofu asked. If Master was here, given his status in the Manchu, there wouldn't be any big problem. Master and some elders went out to do something. It's said that they are looking for something. I don't know when they will come back. Yu Wanli pondered for a while. Then he looked at Du Xiaofu and said, We are outnumbered, so we can only gain the initiative by striking first. How can we gain the initiative by striking first? Du Xiaofu asked. Then he seemed to have thought of something and said, 3rd senior brother, you are talking about the sect master, right? That's right. Yu Wanli nodded and said, They won't let this matter go, but they will probably go to the sect master. They are outnumbered, so we can only strike first. Hee, I'll listen to third senior brother. Du Xiaofu understood. Third senior brother's words sounded nice. To put it bluntly, he was just going to complain first. He would gain a lot of advantages. It's not enough for you to go like this. You need to dress up. Yuanli looked at Du Xiaofu carefully for a while, then smiled. He took Du Xiaofu's blood-stained purple robe and tore it into a ragged piece. Finally, he wiped the blood-stained purple robe on Du Xiaofu's face a few times. Du Xiaofu's face was stained with blood, and his clothes were in tatters. He looked miserable. That's about it. Remember, when you go to the sect master, you have to insist that you are the victim. Act as pitiful as you can. As for the rest, act according to the circumstances. Yu Wanli looked at Du Xiaofu's appearance that he had modified and was very satisfied. Finally, he reminded Du Xiaofu of some things he should pay attention to. At this time, Du Xiaofu was speechless. He thought that third senior brother was kind and honest. But now, Du Xiaofu finally understood what it meant to hide one's strength. Third senior brother was simply a high-level spy. This third senior brother looked honest and dutiful. If anyone were to provoke this seemingly honest third senior brother, they would definitely not have a good ending. Soon after, in the main hall of the Ancient Heaven Sect's main peak, Junior Brother Sect Leader, you have to seek justice for Junior Brother Xiaofu. Look at how badly he's been injured. It's too miserable. He was besieged by more than 5,000 disciples. This is simply too presumptuous. He has disregarded the sect rules. He must be severely punished, absolutely severely punished. In the main hall, Yuanli's face was full of grievances, as if he was the one who was besieged. His voice made people feel aggrieved. This is a high-level outfit. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Looking at third senior brother Yuanli's aggrieved appearance, Du Xiaofu could only sigh in his heart. He secretly admired third senior brother Yuanli from the bottom of his heart. This, Sima taking Xing looked at the bloody Du Xiaofu in front of him and was also stunned. Based on his intuition, Sima taking Xing naturally had doubts. However, when he heard that it was Chao Zhao by Yi Chen, Fei Qingming, and Chang Qinghai who had joined forces with more than 5,000 disciples, and Du Xiaofu's bloody appearance, Sima Taxing Star had no choice but to believe half of it. What the hell is going on? Sima taking Xing handed a healing pill to Du Xiaofu and then asked Du Xiaofu. Based on Sima taking Xing's understanding of Du Xiaofu, who was as shrewd as a thief, should not be someone who would suffer such a big loss. Du Xiaofu then told him about the matter, from the Four Seas gang accusing the World Pavilion of selling fake medicine and finally smashing the World Pavilion. He also took revenge last night and smashed several of their shops. Today, Chang Qinghai and the other three brought at least 5,000 disciples to take revenge. Du Xiaofu did not hide anything about this matter. It was all true. However, under Du Xiaofu's intentional embellishment, he almost became a pure victim. In addition, Yuanli had been helping him. These two brothers echoed each other, and their narration was flawless. Sima taking Xing had some doubts about Du Xiaofu, but at this time he could not find any doubts. If he had not been secretly tricked by Du Xiaofu recently, he would have absolutely believed in Du Xiaofu. But even so, at this time, Sima taking Xing was 80% convinced. Sect Master, something big has happened. At this time, Protector Hao hurriedly ran into the hall. When Protector Hao saw that Du Xiaofu was covered in blood and had an aggrieved expression on his face, he was stunned for a moment. Seeing Protector Hao, Sima taking Xing asked, "Protector Hao, why are you in such a hurry?" 12 elders came and said it has something to do with Du Xiaofu. I just heard that Du Xiaofu, the champion of this year's Talisman League tournament not long ago, seriously injured Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming, Chao Zhao, and the others. Protector Hao's voice fell, and he added, seriously injured at the end. Hearing this, Sima taking Xing immediately frowned. He had long suspected that the matter was not as Du Xiaofu said. Sect Master, this is defying the heavens. This is too presumptuous. He must be severely punished. Otherwise, it won't be enough to convince the public. Following Protector Hao's words, a few angry voices could be heard from outside the hall, and many more figures walked in. At the front were many old men and middle-aged men. Judging from the badges on their shoulders, they were the elders of the ancient Heaven sect. However, these elders seemed to be unfamiliar and did not often show up in the Manchu. Behind these elders, there were also many disciples who were supporting more than a dozen heavily injured disciples. These seriously injured disciples were the martial king realm cultivators who had been directly injured by Du Xiaofu not long ago. Bai Yichen was also among them. However, Chao Zhao, Chongqing Hai, and many other disciples whose arms had been cut off by Du Xiaofu did not appear at this time. It was estimated that the most important thing for them to do now was to heal and find a way to reattach their broken arms. For the ancient Heaven sect, there were countless experts. Although they would have to pay a hefty price to reattach their severed arm, it wouldn't be too difficult. Chapter 716. However, for Chao Zhao, Chongqing Hai, and the others, the aftereffects and the impact on their future cultivation were extremely serious. Bai Yichen was stunned when he saw that Du Xiaofu was also in the main hall. Bai Yichen's eyes twitched when he saw Du Xiaofu's tattered clothes and bloodied face. He seemed to have understood something. Du Xiaofu, I didn't think that you would dare to come here. Such a vicious person. I won't let you off today. There were some elders who recognized Du Xiaofu. When they saw that Du Xiaofu was also there, their eyes turned red and they shouted angrily, their faces flushed with anger. Elder Hu, you've got the wrong person. Don't think that my junior is easy to bully because he's young. I'm still here. Your disciple Chongqing Hai brought a few thousand disciples to attack my junior. I'm just about to settle this score with you. Yu Wanli shouted. Since his master wasn't around, he naturally had to protect his junior. Elder, who was a little taken aback by Yu Wanli's shout. Being besieged by more than 5,000 disciples really felt like bullying. Yu Wanli, what you're saying is too serious. Do you think Du Xiaofu will be fine after being besieged by more than 5,000 disciples? Look at how injured they are. Du Xiaofu is vicious and merciless. Another elder stepped forward and said angrily, Bullshit! Look at how injured my junior is. Over 5,000 disciples attacked him in front of everyone. Do you still want to deny it? 4 of the top 10 rankers on the gold roll joined hands shamelessly, and you still have the nerve to say that. How dare you complain when you're the bad guys? How shameless! Yu Wanli shouted fearlessly. He almost jumped up and scolded them. You, the elder who spoke, was stumped by Yu Wanli's words. He didn't know how to refute. In fact, he knew the truth. However, he also knew that although over 5,000 people had attacked Su Mo, there were only over 20 martial king realm experts. Even so, they had been defeated by Du Xiaofu, even though they had joined hands. It was too horrible to look at. It was shameful enough. Sima Taxing frowned. He walked to the center of the main hall and sat down. He said, All right, with your status in the Manchu, it's beneath your dignity to argue in front of the younger disciples. Let's talk about it slowly. Sect Master, you have to uphold justice. You can't be biased just because Du Xiaofu is the disciple of Elder Gu Qingyang, Elder Hu said. Then he and the other elders beside him, many elders angrily recounted Du Xiaofu's deeds. Hearing the elders' words, Yu Wanli refuted them loudly. However, there were many juniors in the main hall at this time, so it was not appropriate for him to scold them. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu sat down with a swagger after he followed the group of elders and sat down. He did not say a single word and allowed the group of elders to reprimand him for his crimes. Sima Taxing and Protector Hao, who were sitting at the top of the main hall, listened to the elders talking about how Du Xiaofu had cut off the arms of Chao Zhao and the others, and how Chongqing Hai's right arm had been torn off. They were shocked by the fierceness of it. Then, they looked at Du Xiaofu with fluctuating eyes. Du Xiaofu, do you have anything to say about what the elders have said? After a while, Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. Then, all eyes fell on Du Xiaofu. Senior brother sect leader, some elders said that I'm a bully. It's obviously Chang Qinghai by Yi Chen, Fei Chengming, and the others who instigated it. I have witnesses and material evidence. Some people have already confessed. I've also checked their bodies. There are no traces of berserk pill or profound restoration pill in their bodies. Senior brother sect leader, you can verify it at any time. Du Xiaofang stood up and said to Sima Taxing, as for the last injury, it was because I had no choice. I had just entered the sect and was only a disciple on the bronze list. For top 10 experts on the gold list and dozens of Martial King Realm experts besieged me. There were also more than 5,000 disciples who were eyeing me covetously. I resisted with all my strength, so I was a little heavy-handed. It was not my fault. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, elder who couldn't bear it anymore, and said angrily, "You have a sharp tongue. You are talking nonsense." Elder who, which part of my words was not true? Du Xiaofu looked straight at elder who without fear and asked in a deep voice. You, hearing this, elder who was speechless for a while. It seemed that no matter what, Du Xiaofu was right. Seeing this, Du Xiaofu continued indifferently. They attacked first, and I attacked after. It was purely self-defense. They bullied me with numbers. I am the victim. As his voice faded, Du Xiaofu pointed at Bai Yichen, who had been standing behind the group of elders, and said, "If you don't believe me, you can ask Bai Yichen and see if I'm lying. Did they bully me with numbers? Did they come to find trouble with me and besiege me? According to the sect rules, they should be the ones to be punished." Du Xiaofu then raised his head and looked at Sima Taxing. He said respectfully, "Senior brother sect leader, please uphold justice for me." Puff! At this moment, Du Xiaofu's words made Bai Yichen's blood boil. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood, but he also felt speechless. At this moment, Bai Yichen finally understood that there was no way he could compete with Du Xiaofu. This Du Xiaofu was too shameless. When you tried to reason with him, he would act like a hooligan. When you tried to act like a hooligan, he would talk with you using his fists. When you talked with him using his fists, he would talk with you using his reasoning. There was no way to argue with him on the same channel. Sect leader, Du Xiaofu is vicious and merciless. He has seriously injured many disciples. Sect leader must uphold justice. I'm afraid the elders will also think that Du Xiaofu must be severely punished, elder who said in a low voice. Sima taking Xing sat upright. No one could tell what he was thinking from his expression. His glass-like eyes were deep. When he heard elder whose words, there was a slight fluctuation in his eyes that didn't leave a trace. I've learned about this matter, but I'm afraid it will take time to investigate it thoroughly. Wait until the Manchu has investigated it thoroughly. Then we can make a conclusion. The most important thing now is to treat the injuries of the injured. After a while, Sima Taxing said to the crowd, "Sect leader, Du Xiaofu is vicious and merciless. The evidence is conclusive. If we let Du Xiaofu go today, I'm afraid we won't be able to convince the public." An elder in his 60s came out. His tone was quite tyrannical. It seemed that he had to deal with Du Xiaofu today. I've already said that we need to investigate it thoroughly before we deal with it. Sima Taxing said to the elder. His eyebrows moved slightly. He was not angry, but he was powerful. The elder's eyes trembled slightly, and his aura was suppressed for no reason. Sect leader, you're right. This matter naturally needs time to deal with. At this moment, a voice came into the main hall. The voice was clearly far away, but when the last word fell, it seemed to appear in everyone's ears. Then, in the main hall, a figure appeared silently. The person who came had long black hair combed into a high bun. He looked to be in his 80s, but his figure was strong and healthy. His pair of black eyes were tinged with a faint yellow color, which was enough to make people tremble for no reason. As this person appeared in the main hall, The entire space seemed to have solidified, and the airflow stopped fluctuating. This person is so strong. He doesn't seem to be weaker than Master Gu Qingyang. Du Xiaofu was secretly shocked. To be able to control the flow of spatial energy with his surrounding strength without making a sound, causing the surrounding spatial airflow to fluctuate with his breathing, was equivalent to being able to control this space. How powerful was such strength? "Greetings, Martial Uncle Tian Lu." Seeing this person coming, Sima Taxing's eyes moved slightly. Yu Wanli also frowned slightly. He immediately stood up and saluted respectfully. "Greetings, Elder Tian Lu." When Elder Hu and the others saw this, they immediately became happy. "Martial Uncle, why are you here today? Please take a seat." Sima Taxing sat down and said to the old man, "You're the sect leader. You should sit. I'll leave now. It won't be long." Elder Tian Lu's eyes swept over Du Xiaofu, intentionally or unintentionally. Then he said to Sima Taxing, "I already know what you're discussing. Since the Manchu needs time to investigate, but according to the rules of the Manchu, you need to be strictly guarded during the investigation. How about this? You don't need to argue. I'll take Du Xiaofu away. According to the rules of the Manchu, put him in the black prison first. I happen to be free, so I can guard him personally. When the reason is investigated, the Manchu will deal with him at its discretion." As Elder Tian Lu's voice fell, Sima Taxing and Yu Wanli's faces suddenly changed. However, Elder Hu and the others secretly smiled. "Martial Uncle Tian Lu, you don't have to go to the black prison, right?" Yu Wanli's eyes were extremely solemn. The black prison was definitely not a good place. "Martial Uncle, we don't dare to trouble you with such a trivial matter. Just leave it to us." Sima Taxing immediately said, "Humph! Du Xiaofu is so cruel to his fellow disciple. No matter what the reason is, putting him in the black prison first is already a light punishment. There's no need to say more." Elder Tian Lu said in a deep voice. As his voice fell, he looked at Du Xiaofu and said indifferently, "You're Du Xiaofu, right? Do you want to come with me, or do you want me to take you away?" An invisible pressure spread out from the old man's body. The space froze. A great suppressive force suddenly spread out from all directions and crushed towards Du Xiaofu. Boom! At this moment, Du Xiaofu's figure suddenly trembled. The suppressive force of the 5 elements was so terrifying that it was like Mount Tai pressing down on him. I won't tell you that I couldn't sleep until now. I got up and finished another chapter. I finished the chapter in the middle of the night. If I wake up early at night, I'll have to pay my debts. If I oversleep, I can only update it tomorrow. I'll cry and count sheep in bed. Chapter 717. Du Xiaofu's body trembled under the frightening suppressive force. The profound qi within his body surged out. A domineering aura that originated from the golden-winged Great Peng secretly surged and resisted the invisible suppressive force. Elder Tian Lu's eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. He seemed to have sensed something. Only then did a ripple appear in his eyes. There seemed to be some surprise on his face. "I'll go with you." Du Xiaofu lifted his head and looked at Elder Tian Lu as he spoke. "All right, if that's the case, then come with me." Elder Tian Lu said faintly. A faint yellow glow fluctuated in Heise's eyes. "Little Junior, Black Prison is not an ordinary place. There will be a lot of suffering inside." Yu Wanli's expression was grave. He was well aware of what kind of place Black Prison was. Only the disciples of the Manchu who had committed a grave mistake would be sent to Black Prison. "It's all right. I believe that the Manchu will investigate thoroughly. I have done nothing wrong. There is no need to worry." A smile flashed across Du Xiaofu's pale face. However, this smile made his blood-stained face appear a lot crueler. Sima Taking looked at Du Xiaofu. He wanted to say something, but hesitated. His glass-like eyes were deep. After which he said to Du Xiaofu, "I will investigate thoroughly as soon as possible. Let's go. You will stay in Black Prison until the investigation is completed." Elder Tian Lu's body had some light fluctuations after he finished speaking. In the next instant, he had already appeared at the entrance of the large hall. Third senior, I will go now. There is no need to worry. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, he followed Elder Tian Lu and left. Humph! Elder Hu and the rest sneered as they looked at Du Xiaofu's back. They were well aware of what kind of place Black Prison was. No one would have a good ending if they entered it. Yuan Li stayed in the large hall for a while. His expression sunk, after which he bid farewell to Sima taking Xing and hurriedly left. Elder Hu and the rest said a few words that Du Xiaofu must be severely punished, after which they also bid farewell to Sima taking Xing and left. Sect Master, what should we do now? Watching the crowd leave, Protector Hao frowned and looked at Sima taking. Sima taxing Xing frowned slightly and said they have planned this for a long time, but they didn't expect that even Marshal Uncle Tianlu would come out. It seems that the situation is more serious than we thought. Master was right. It is not easy to be a sect master. That brat Du Xiaofu is really ruthless. This time he made Chao Zhao and the others suffer a lot. Protector Hao said to Sima taxing, those people took the opportunity to invite Elder Heavenly Deer. It seems that they will not give up easily. I have said that once they go out, Chao Zhao, Chong Qinghai, and the others will be eaten up by Du Xiaofu. They are domesticated tigers, while Du Xiaofu is a wild wolf from outside. He is a strong dragon. Chao Zhao and the others are not enough to play with. Sima taxing Xing whispered, Du Xiaofu was put into the Black Prison. That is a place of great danger. For so many years, only 1 out of 100 disciples who have been put into the Black Prison can survive. Protector Hao was worried and puzzled. Du Xiaofu actually chose to go in with Elder Heavenly Deer. It surprised me. He doesn't look like such an honest person. Do you really think he went in without doing anything? Sima taxing Xing smiled bitterly. He took a deep breath and said, he knows that Elder Heavenly Deer is here today, so he has to go. He is enduring and waiting. I hope that this kid will not blame me, the sect master. I also hope that he will be fine. I believe that with his abnormal strength, he will be fine even if he withstands for a few days. The cliffs and peaks towered into the clouds, like a dragon raising its head. 5 towering peaks stood opposite each other like a cage. Clouds and mist lingered in the sky, while a black mist faintly spread from the bottomless cliffs below. It made the vision in this part of the world dim. This was a mysterious place. Anyone who approached it would feel a chill in their hearts. Only a small number of disciples in the ancient heaven sect knew about this place. The Black Prison was a prison within the ancient heaven sect. Only disciples who had committed grave crimes and wanted by the ancient heaven sect had the opportunity to enter the Black Prison. Of course, no one would enter the Black Prison willingly. It was not a place for people to stay. It was rumored that no matter how strong a person was, the outcome would be the same once they entered the Black Prison. There were restrictions in the Black Prison. The stronger one was, the greater the backlash. It was rumored that out of 100 people who entered the Black Prison, it was already good enough if one person was lucky enough to walk out alive. Above the cliffs, the vision was a little dim. Du Xiaofu followed Elder Tianlu here. An inexplicable aura came from the bottomless abyss below the cliffs, making Du Xiaofu's hair stand on end. Below is the Black Prison. Before the Manchu investigates your punishment, you should stay in the Black Prison and reflect on yourself. If you can't survive the Black Prison, it can only be said that your life is over. Elder Tianlu turned around and said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu did not say anything. He looked at Elder Tianlu in front of him with an unusually calm gaze. The calmness in Du Xiaofu's eyes even made Elder Tianlu experience an indescribable feeling. It was an indescribable feeling, but it was extremely uncomfortable. It was like the cub of a ferocious beast that had been patiently waiting. It made Elder Tianlu shiver for no reason. Du Xiaofu strode forward and arrived at the edge of the cliffs. He stared at the gloomy cliffs below, where black mist vaguely permeated the air. Suddenly, he looked back at Elder Tianlu and asked, "May I ask, Elder Tianlu, where did this disciple go wrong?" Elder Tianlu's eyes flickered with yellow light when he heard that. As if he was rather surprised, he said, "You shouldn't have been so vicious to your fellow disciple. You should have been punished. Do you not accept that?" "Accept he?" Du Xiaofu's pale face smiled slightly when he heard that. He asked Elder Tianlu, "May I ask again, may I ask if Elder Tianlu has entered the so-called black prison below?" "The black prison exists for prisoners." "Of course I haven't entered it." Elder Tianlu was doubtful, but he still answered Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu still had a smile on his face. He took out a king-grade Xian yuan pill from his Qinkuan bag and stuffed it into his mouth. Then he jumped down the cliff. Whoosh! As Du Xiaofu leaped down, ripples appeared in the black mist. The solid space rippled, and a bone-black ripple immediately swallowed Du Xiaofu. Elder Tianlu stood on the precipice. His eyes were a little dazed as he looked at Du Xiaofu's smiling expression. He was unable to see through that expression. Yu Wanli practically charged into the courtyard on Heaven's Eye Peak. He quickly entered his room and set up a barrier. He took out a jade slip from his Qinkuan bag. Talisman inscriptions flickered on the jade slip. "Master, quickly return to the Manchu. Junior brother has been imprisoned in the black prison." As his voice fell, Yuanli formed a few hand seals. Several hand seals turned into dazzling talisman inscriptions and swept into the jade slip. Ka-ka! The jade slip shone brightly. Then it began to crack and shatter. Finally, it turned into powder and dissipated. In the black space, the vision was dim. Black mist fluctuated and the surroundings were steep cliffs. It was like a huge bottomless pit. Many white skeletons could be seen on the jagged cliffs. They gave off a phosphorescent luster and were eerie. Whoosh! Inside the bottomless pit, a terrifying invisible storm swept across, whistling nonstop. No one knew where this invisible storm came from. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Du Xiaofu's body continued to fall. In this space, one could not control his body. His strength was directly affected and he could only let himself fall. The invisible storm in the space caused the black mist to fluctuate violently. In that terrifying storm, an extremely strange cold wind surged into the body. It seemed to be able to cut off a person's flesh and blood like a sharp blade. The cold wind penetrated deep into the bone marrow. It could spread through the bones, muscles, and meridians of the body. Intense pain could be felt from the cells. It was impossible to resist. Du Xiaofu endured the pain that penetrated deep into his skin and muscles. He could not even make a sound. His cultivation and strength would also be greatly affected. The more he tried to resist, the greater the impact he would receive. Bang! After an unknown period of time, Du Xiaofu finally fell to the ground. He could not help but fall on a protruding rock on the cliff. 2 phosphorescent white skeletons were scattered on the ground. Du Xiaofu landed on the ground and took the opportunity to retreat. Only then did he feel that the terrifying cold wind had dissipated. He then looked around and realized that he was in a spacious karst cave. Kacha! There was a cracking sound under his feet. Du Xiaofu looked down and realized that there were a few scattered white bones under his feet. For some reason, the skeletons were extremely fragile. They turned into white powder with a single step. Sorry. Du Xiaofu put his palms together and bowed to the skeletons. Then Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the ground in the cave. There were still many scattered white skeletons. The walls of the cave were black, and the sound of wind was echoing in the cave. What a terrifying cold wind! Du Xiaofu looked around. The strange cold wind that permeated his body was still able to penetrate through every orifice. If it weren't for the almost abnormal defensive power on his body, Du Xiaofu felt that his current situation wouldn't be as simple as it was now. But even if his original body was not weak, the current situation was not optimistic. Gritting his teeth, Du Xiaofu formed a hand seal. Then, a stream of light shot out from between his eyebrows and turned into a small pagoda. It was the small pagoda that Zhan Qingchen had been residing in the ancient, desolate space. Walala! The runes on the small pagoda flickered. Then, a smoke-like light shot out and turned into Zhan Qingchuan's illusory body. Chapter 718. Why are you looking for me? Is it because Zhan Qingchen appeared and stared at Du Xiaofu with his triangular eyes? Before he could finish his sentence, his expression suddenly changed. He turned around and looked at the black fog outside the karst cave. His eyes flickered and his hands moved slightly. Strange runes appeared in the air around him. Black Hell Shield. This is actually Black Hell Shield. Zhan Qingchen was shocked. He seemed to have discovered something surprising. Brother Qingchen, what is Black Hell Shield? It is extremely terrifying and difficult to resist. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly at Zhan Qingchen. The Black Hell Shield is not an ordinary thing. However, the Black Hell Shield here is still very weak compared to the real Black Hell Shield. However, it is still enough to kill ordinary cultivators. In addition, this place is also sealed by someone relying on the Black Hell Shield. This is not a good place. Zhan Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and asked, "Why are you here? How did you get involved with the Black Hell Shield?" Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly and told his brother Zhan Qingchen the rough situation. Sigh, it seems like the ancient heaven sect is not very harmonious. The big sects all have a golden exterior. However, you became a breakthrough point for them to compete with each other. You can be considered as being involved in some kind of whirlpool. Zhan Qingchen sighed softly. Then he asked Du Xiaofu, "What do you plan to do now?" "I have no plans." Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Looks like it won't be easy for you to get out. Looking at the layout of this place, it's quite extraordinary. It relies on the black fiendish astral qi to create an extremely ingenious layout. However, it's a bit overkill to use the black fiendish astral qi to create a cage. If this black fiendish astral qi could be used to create an indestructible barrier for the ancient heaven sect." Zhan Qingchen muttered softly. Then he shook his head and said, "Perhaps the ancient heaven sect does not have a talisman master that can do this. I am afraid that even at my peak, I would not be able to do this. However, the ancient heaven sect has this Black Hell Shield. It seems like this place is very special. This Black Hell Shield is impossible to resist. Brother Qingchen, are you not afraid?" Du Xiaofu was puzzled. Zhan Qingchuan's soul spirit did not seem to be affected by the Black Hell Shield. The black evil gang qi has a greater effect on the body of the primordial spirit. However, my primordial spirit is very special. It is different from the primordial spirit of ordinary people. Otherwise, I would not have been able to survive until now. Therefore, I am fine in the black evil gang qi. Zhan Qingchen said to Du Xiaofu, seeming to be extremely complacent. Besides him, there probably weren't many people in this world that were able to withstand the black, fiendish astral qi without suffering any damage. It would not take long for the soul spirit of an ordinary soul spirit to be completely destroyed in the Black Hell Shield. Is there any way to resist the Black Hell Shield? Du Xiaofu could not help but stare at Zhan Qingchen. The old man could resist the strange Black Hell Shield, but it was difficult for him to resist it. Not many people are able to resist the black fiend astral qi. Most people would give up on this idea. However, you do have a way. Zhan Qingchen smiled. What is it? Du Xiaofu suddenly saw a glimmer of hope. Your desolate ancient space is not an ordinary object. After hiding in it, the Black Hell Shield will not be able to enter at all. Naturally, you will be fine. Zhan Qingchen frowned slightly and said, "However, this place is not very safe. If you use the desolate ancient space, it will be very easy for the ancient heaven sect to find out. At that time, there will be a lot of trouble. This object is too extraordinary. Don't tell me the ancient heaven sect will not be tempted. Du Xiaofu understood. Then his face turned serious. He asked Jin Qingchen, "Is there any other way?" "Of course there is a way. It is with you." Zhen Qingchen smiled and said, "However, this method will probably make you suffer a lot. However, if you can persevere, it will be a great opportunity for you." "What should I do?" Du Xiaofu looked puzzled and asked Jin Qingchen. "The golden winged rock is the most masculine and masculine. The black hell shield is the most masculine and masculine. It is said that in the golden winged rock race, there are golden winged rocks who seek the most een and cold objects in the world to forge their bodies. However, only the top golden winged rocks can succeed. Without yang, there is no een and no een. Yin and yang are the Tao of heaven and earth, the outline of all things, the parents of change, the origin of life and death, and the abode of the gods." Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and said seriously, "You practice the golden winged rock cultivation method, which is the most masculine and masculine. Although the black hell shield is not the most een and cold object, the black hell shield here is still some distance away from the real black hell shield. However, it is just right for your current strength. Otherwise, you would not have the fortune to enjoy it. However, I am afraid that this suffering is not ordinary. Moreover, this is only a legend. I don't know whether it is real or not. The most een and cold to forge one's body." Du Xiaofu murmured. In this case, if he could obtain the black hell shield to forge his body, he would gain great benefits. "You must be careful now." Suddenly, Zhen Qingchuan's voice rang out. He looked at the black fog in front of him that had intensified at some point and said, "This place is not a place to hide. Instead, it is a place of great danger. The seal here is changing. When the time comes, the black hell shield will wreak havoc in this cave." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. No wonder there were so many white skeletons in this cave. Some people, like him, had probably treated this place as a safe place, but in the end, only white bones were left. Huff, huff! The black fog rippled and whizzed over. At the same time, in the entire bottomless space, the terrifying black fog rippled violently, accompanied by a real storm like boiling steam. Rumble! At this moment, the entire space trembled. Suddenly, the terrifying black hell shield intensified. Then, from outside the cave, an overwhelming amount of black hell shield surged into the cave, like a wave sweeping over a submerged reef, filling the karst cave. The terrifying black fog formed a vortex in the cave, enveloping Du Xiaofu. The terrifying black hell shield surged out from the black fog. Compared to the black hell shield that Du Xiaofu had encountered before, this one was many times stronger. The vortex of black hell shield spun, like countless sharp blades scraping the surface of his body. When they entered his body, they could cut off his flesh and blood. There was no way to resist. Be careful. If you can't do it, you can enter the desolate ancient space first. The black hell shield and the seal have changed. Zhen Qingchen said loudly, reminding Du Xiaofeng. The vortex of black hell shield in the cave seemed to be able to devour sound. "Come on, forge my body." Du Xiaofu clenched his teeth. If he could absorb the black hell shield to forge his body, it would be an opportunity for him to become stronger. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged in the terrifying black hell shield and forcefully activated the golden rock cultivation technique. Qi! A golden glow gushed out, causing an indescribable intense pain in his body. However, when the golden glow enveloped his entire body, Du Xiaofu discovered that the effect of the Black Fiend constellation on him was indeed significantly reduced. Walala! Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged in the vortex, activating the golden rock cultivation technique and absorbing the black hell shield to forge his body. The vortex of black hell shield raged and immediately tore Du Xiaofu's purple robe away. The purple strip of cloth on Du Xiaofu's purple gold celestial palace was also directly blown away by the black hell shield, revealing the silent purple gold celestial palace. Under the naked body, Du Xiaofu's muscles and bones could be seen on the surface of his body. They were wrapped in golden talisman engravings and released a dazzling golden light. The black hell shield was the strongest in the Yin. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to avoid it. However, it was rare for the Golden Rock clan to encounter it. It could forge the rock body and nourish the muscles and bones. Walala! In the terrifying black hell shield, Du Xiaofu seemed to be wrapped in black flames and burned. His body looked like it was about to be torn to pieces. Boy, it hurts, right? You must hold on and maintain your true spirit. After 1,000 tempering, you will naturally be able to strengthen yourself. Zhen Qingquan's illusory primordial spirit appeared in the black hell shield vortex, and his voice echoed in Du Xiaofu's ears. Forge my body internally and externally. Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. His hand seals condensed before he suddenly opened his mouth and sucked. A golden glow erupted from his mouth as a suction force gushed out, directly sucking the terrifying black fiend astral chi into his mouth. Walala! In an instant, the black hell shield surged and was drawn toward Du Xiaofu's mouth. Swallowing the black fiend astral energy to refine one's body was extremely terrifying and dangerous. Even a true golden-winged great Peng would not dare to do so. However, Du Xiaofu was like a newborn calf that was not afraid of a tiger. He actually did it. Ouch! In the black hell shield, Du Xiaofu screamed miserably. The pain was unbearable. It was as if countless sharp blades were rotating inside and outside his body, penetrating deep into his cells and bones. Walala! Du Xiaofu grimaced in pain. He could feel blood seeping out of his body. His skin began to crack, and pale, golden blood seeped out. It was as if his flesh and blood were about to be scraped away and turned into white bones. However, Du Xiaofu's flesh and blood had not been completely scraped away. Under the Golden Rock's technique, he resisted, absorbed, and refined the black fiend astral energy. At this time, Du Xiaofu's skin was cracking and pale golden blood flowed out. However, golden talisman patterns gushed out of the cracked skin and resisted the further erosion of the black hell shield. Faintly, the cracked skin began to heal and became even more crystal clear and strong. However, it cracked again, healed again, and improved again. This cycle began. This guy is really ferocious. Zhen Qingquan was surprised, and a look of shock flashed across his eyes. It was said that only the top golden rock could forge their body in this way, but this guy really did it. Chapter 719. If he could go through this ordeal, he would be able to obtain great benefits. He would not be a true golden-winged great rock, but he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the top golden-winged great rock. So painful, so unbearable. Du Xiaofu cried out in pain. However, the golden light on his body and the mysterious runes on his talisman shone brightly. He seemed to be cheering and excited. The black, fiendish gang energy was absorbed into his body, refining his body from the inside out. Du Xiaofu activated the golden-winged great rock technique to absorb the black, fiendish gang energy and refine it. He realized that the black, fiendish gang energy could be converted into Xian Qi and entered his god's watchtower. Time passed. 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. The black, fiendish gang energy in the cave seemed to follow a certain pattern. It would only appear 3 times a day, and each time it would last for 4 hours before disappearing. Du Xiaofu swallowed the black fiendish gang energy to refine his body. He left the cave and sat cross-legged in the bottomless vacuum outside the cave. He opened his mouth to absorb the black fiendish gang energy, causing the black fog around him to surge and turn into a black whirlpool. Over 10 days, the surface of Du Xiaofu's skin cracked and healed, and the cycle continued without end on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body. The tough, golden color started to soften. It made him look even more crystalline and shone with a golden light. At this moment, the golden light in the black whirlpool became denser and denser. A rising aura also started to rise rapidly, causing the space to tremble. I did not expect the black fiendish gang energy to have the effect of increasing one's cultivation. Zhen Qingquan's illusory body was in the cave. He looked at Du Xiaofu, who was shining with a golden light in front of him, and his gaze was filled with surprise. Time continued to pass. In the black prison, under the corrosion of the black fiendish gang energy, Du Xiaofu's body felt like it was being cut into pieces. However, by relying on the golden rock art, Du Xiaofu turned destruction into nourishment, recovering once again. The cycle continued endlessly, tempering his body endlessly, causing his physical body to become even more tyrannical, and his aura continued to rise. After adapting to the pain, Du Xiaofu felt much better. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged in the middle of the black fiend astral energy, absorbing the black fiend astral energy and refining his body. Closing his eyes, Du Xiaofu did not let out any more screams. There was not even a ripple in his heart. It was as if he had already forgotten himself. Only his body was becoming more and more translucent and powerful. If someone from the Ancient Heaven sect saw this, they would be shocked. Not only was there someone who was safe in the black prison, but he was also absorbing the black fiend astral energy to refine his body. What kind of torture and torment was this? But Du Xiaofu had actually done it. There's a reason why this guy is so strong. Zhen Qingquan sighed. Absorbing the black fiend astral energy to refine his body was something that only a few top golden-winged rocks could do. But Du Xiaofu had a great perseverance and a great perseverance to become an expert. In order to become an expert, he was not willing to miss any opportunity. Even in the face of this kind of torture that ordinary people could not bear, he still persisted. Zhen Qingquan was shocked and nodded inwardly. He knew that after this training, it would be a blessing and not a disaster. It would not be long before the terrifying guy in front of him would undergo a great transformation. In terms of physical body alone, there were few people among the same generation of the human race who could compete with Du Xiaofu. His physical body was enough to be compared to the real golden-winged rocks. If such a terrifying physical body was discovered by others, who knew how shocked they would be. In the Ancient Heaven sect, Du Xiaofu had not exposed his most important trump card, nor had he completely exposed the strength of his physical body. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Du Xiaofu had not used the divine light thunderstorm and the lightning destruction finger of the divine light court. Du Xiaofu wanted to become an expert, a true expert. This belief was deep in his soul and bones. Therefore, when he heard that the black fiend astral energy could refine his body, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate to choose to refine his body. Being refined by the black fiend astral energy, his physical body endured tremendous pain that ordinary people could not bear. It was as if he had been tempered thousands of times. Du Xiaofu only wanted to become a true expert one day. Just by absorbing the black fiend astral energy, he could also increase his strength. This was also beyond Du Xiaofu's expectations. Time slowly passed. Finally, the rising aura in Du Xiaofu's body reached its peak, and the golden light around his body began to dazzle, like an eternal divine radiance. His aura came to an invisible barrier and stopped, but it was ready to attack. Break! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu roared, and a terrifying and domineering aura swept out from his body, shattering the surrounding black fiend astral energy. The entire vacuum was trembling because of it. Bang! Finally, at the end, a soft sound came from the divine watchtower. From his body, mysterious runes rushed out and turned into a golden-winged rock phantom in the vacuum. Gee! The golden-winged rock phantom flapped its wings, and endless storms swept out. The black fiend astral energy rolled endlessly. But at this time, Du Xiaofu's physical body seemed to have gotten used to the black fiend astral energy and did not feel too uncomfortable. Eh. In the cave at this moment the vacuum shook. Zhen Qingchen seemed to have suddenly discovered something, and suddenly looked down at the vacuum. Chi. In the vacuum, after a long time, the aura gradually calmed down. Du Xiaofu opened his slightly closed eyes, and a golden light shot out from his eyes, as if there was a golden-winged rock phantom in the air. He broke through just like that. Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled bitterly. In just a dozen days, this guy had profited from a disaster and broken through from the initial Martial King realm to the mystery level of the Martial King realm. It should be known that even a peerless genius would need a few years to break through. But Du Xiaofu had done it in a dozen days. If others knew about this, they would want to dig a hole and hide in it. The mystery level of the Martial King realm. Du Xiaofu murmured. His body stood in the air, and he waved his hand, shaking the space, and letting the black fiend astral energy wrap around him. At this time, he was able to get used to it. Du Xiaofu was very satisfied with this progress. Not only had he broken through to the mystery level of the Martial King realm, but his physical body had also become much stronger. This kind of strengthening of the physical body had nothing to do with bone marrow cleansing, but it was equally important, or even more important to some extent. How do you feel? Zhen Qingchen looked up and asked Du Xiaofu. I feel pretty good. Du Xiaofu smiled, and his body slowly descended from the void to Zhen Qingchuan's side. But at this time, the black prison could still suppress one's cultivation, and it affected him greatly. I just found something special. There seems to be a special wave below. The wave is different. Zhen Qingchen said to Du Xiaofu, Is there someone imprisoned in the black prison? Du Xiaofu was puzzled. This black prison was a prison, and there might be other people imprisoned there. The wave doesn't seem to be from a human. I can feel that there are some powerful people imprisoned here, but they should be separated by some kind of seal. But the wave I just found doesn't seem to be from a human. Zhen Qingchen said, Just now, when Du Xiaofu had broken through, it had affected the seals of the black prison. Only when the fluctuations had appeared did Zhen Qingchen sense them. Let's go take a look. Maybe we can find something below. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, and then looked at Zhen Qingchen and said, It might be dangerous. Zhen Qingchen said seriously, This is the black prison and it's dangerous. Du Xiaofu smiled. Whoosh whoosh! A moment later, Du Xiaofu took out a new robe from his Qingkuan bag and wrapped it around his body. The purple gold heavenly tower was wrapped around his body, and the two of them directly entered the black prison. There are seals and seals all around, and they are very ingenious and extraordinary. As they fell, Zhen Qingchen explained to Du Xiaofu. He condensed his hand seals, and the runes in front of him and the black prison formed a kind of resonance, resisting the seals in the black prison. As for the black demon astral chi, Du Xiaofu had already adapted to it. But as they fell, the black demon astral chi became denser. In the dark vacuum, the surroundings were rugged like a bottomless pit, and the vacuum area was getting bigger and bigger. It's still down there. The two of them didn't know how long they had fallen, but they still couldn't see the bottom. Zhen Qingchen felt that the space below began to descend in a certain direction. In the space, in addition to the aura of the black demon astral chi, Du Xiaofu also gradually felt a special aura, which was quite powerful. The main hall of the ancient heavenly sect was full, and the powerful aura was fluctuating. Sima Taxing sat upright in the main hall and said with a dignified look, The matter has been investigated clearly. Chao Zhao, Chong Qinghai, Fei Qingming, and Bai Yichen attacked first, and they were taught a lesson. Du Xiaofu was defending himself. Although he was a little heavy-handed, being in the black prison for half a month is enough for him to be punished. Master, you are wrong. The elders have voted that Du Xiaofu was cruel and merciless to his fellow disciples. The chief of the Talisman League should be removed, and he should be sent to the black prison for a year as a warning to others. Chao Zhao and others were wrong, but they were seriously injured, and they should be taught a lesson. Protector Hao stood up and said, "How could he let Du Xiaofu go so easily? Since Du Xiaofu was already in the black prison, he couldn't let him out easily." 1 year in the black prison. Sima Taxing's face darkened slightly. No martial king realm cultivator could stay in the black dungeon for a year. It was already against the natural order if he could endure for a month. If he did not let Du Xiaofu out, something big would happen. Today's update is complete. Chapter 720. Gu Qingyang returns. Sima Taking Xing's face turned gloomy as he looked at the elders who had already discussed the matter. They were a cancer that had accumulated in the Manchu. Suddenly, Sima Taking Xing's deep glass-like eyes flickered with brilliance as he raised his head and looked outside the main hall. Outside the main hall, a figure appeared silently. He was thin and slender and looked to be in his 70s. He wore a green and white-colored robe and carried an ancient sword on his back. The old man's white hair fluttered in the wind. A few strands of white hair fluttered along with his white beard. He looked like an immortal who had descended to the world. However, he looked like he was in a hurry and was travel-worn. "Where's my disciple, Xiaofu?" The old man appeared in the main hall and asked as he looked at everyone in the main hall. His originally clear eyes flickered with brilliance at this moment. "Elder Gu Qingyang. He's back." Elder Hu and the others in the main hall looked at the old man who appeared outside the main hall. Some of them felt their hearts tremble for no reason. "He's finally back." Hu Songkuan and the others looked at the old man secretly. Their slightly solemn faces relaxed a little. They were against punishing Du Xiaofu, but they did not have the upper hand in the elders' group. There were many elders in the Manchu who had formed cliques and factions. Du Xiaofu had violated their interests in the Manchu tournament, so they would not let Du Xiaofu off easily. "Master, you're finally back." They want to throw junior brother into the black prison for a year. It's been half a month now. I don't know if junior brother is still alive in the black domain. In the main hall, Yuanli immediately rushed up when he saw the familiar figure. His solemn face revealed a joyful expression. During this half a month, Yuanli had been thinking of a solution every day. He had been waiting for his master's return every day. When Elder Gu Qingyang heard this, his clear eyes flickered with brilliance as he looked up at Sima Taking Xing and asked, "Sect Master, what crime did my disciple, Xiaofu, commit to be thrown into the black prison for a year?" Hearing Elder Gu Qingyang's voice, everyone was able to tell that Elder Gu Qingyang was furious. This was especially true for Elder Hu and the others. Their expressions all changed nonstop. Sima Taxing Xing smiled bitterly. He stood up and said to Elder Gu Qingyang, "Martial uncle, Du Xiaofu's violation of the sex rules is not enough to send him to the black dungeon. It's just that some elders of the Elder Council have discussed and decided to forcibly send Du Xiaofu to the black dungeon. We are still discussing this. Some of the elders in the elder group are discussing whether you are the Ancient Heaven Sect's sect master, or whether the elder group is the Ancient Heaven Sect's sect master. In the Ancient Heaven Sect, do you have the final say, or do some of the elders have the final say?" Elder Gu Qingyang's priest, Sima Taxing, did not give up. "Martial uncle is right." Sima Taking Xing nodded. He looked at the hall and said, "The Manchu has investigated clearly. This matter was not Du Xiaofu's fault. Now, I announce that Du Xiaofu will be released from the black prison." When Sima Taking Xing's voice fell, many people in the hall looked happy, worried, and complicated. Elder, who clenched his teeth, gathered his courage, and asked Sima Taking Xing, "Sect Master, is the voting result of all the elders in the elders group going to be changed?" "Master," Elder whose disciple, Chang Qinghai, Chao Zhao, Fei Qingming, and Bai Yichen, led more than 5,000 disciples to besiege youngest junior brother. Youngest junior brother's injuries are not light, but Chao Zhao, Fei Qingming, and the others' arms were chopped off by youngest junior brother in self-defense. However, some people think that youngest junior brother's actions were vicious and merciless. so they want to throw youngest junior brother into the black prison. Yuanli said to Elder Gu Qingyang. I see. Where are the sect rules? Hearing this, Elder Gu Qingyang shouted. His voice was like thunder, shaking the entire hall. His voice billowed. More than 5,000 disciples besieged my disciple and wanted to throw him into the black prison. Are you bullying me because I'm old? Hearing this thunderous shout, everyone in the hall felt their hearts tremble. Everyone could feel that Elder Gu Qingyang was really angry at this time. His anger was monstrous. Elder Gu is too serious. More than 5,000 disciples were not besieging. They were just watching the fun. Only 20 or 30 people actually attacked. There were also several people who attacked Du Xiaofu. More than 5,000 people besieging him is pure nonsense. Elder Hu clenched his teeth and said. He looked at Elder Gu Qingyang and his heart trembled for no reason. What nonsense! Is it not enough to besiege him with dozens of people? Elder Gu Qingyang looked directly at Elder Hu and shouted, Hu Zhishan, is it because your disciple suffered a loss that you want to punish my disciples severely? Elder Gu Qingyang's shout made Elder Hu's face turn pale for no reason. His eyes lost focus, and he was so shocked that his blood and qi almost became chaotic. He could not speak. An elder beside him said after a while, Elder Gu, what do you mean by that? Du Xiaofu attacked his fellow disciple mercilessly. Punishing him severely is only the sect rules. I only have one question. Who was right and who was wrong in that dispute? Elder Gu Qingyang shouted. His eyes were surging with anger. Elder Hu and the other elders heard this and felt their hair stand on end. They knew that Elder Gu Qingyang was difficult to deal with and was not someone to be trifled with. Therefore, they wanted to take advantage of Elder Gu Qingyang's absence to throw Du Xiaofu into the black jail to settle the matter. By then, even if Elder Gu Qingyang came back, it would be too late. However, they did not expect Elder Gu Qingyang to come back so quickly. As far as they knew, Elder Gu Qingyang was out of town dealing with important matters in the Manchu. He would not be able to come back in such a short time. Otherwise, they would not have dared to act like this. Elder Qingyang, the Manchu has investigated thoroughly. Du Xiaofu was not at fault. It was Chao Zhao and the others who provoked him first. Elder Hu Sanquan stood up and said, although Du Xiaofu made him lose a lot of Taoist instruments and elixirs, and even defeated his disciple, he had always supported Du Xiaofu. Hearing this, Elder Gu Qingyang's eyes swept across the crowd. His furious expression calmed down. However, there was an invisible pressure that made people feel like he was a dormant volcano. He said, Do you think my disciple Xiaofu is easy to bully, or do you think I, Gu Qingyang, am easy to bully? Elder Gu, this is the vote of the elder group, Elder Hu said. He looked at Elder Gu Qingyang and trembled for no reason. Is the elder group more important than the sect master? Don't think that I don't know what you are doing in the dark. Just get rid of some black sheep. Elder Gu Qingyang sighed and said softly, Actually, it's all my fault. It's my fault for being soft-hearted. That's why you think I'm easy to bully. Hearing this, many elders and protectors in the hall became dignified. Elder Gu, you've gone too far. Although your seniority is very high, you should know what the elder group represents. Although Du Xiaofu is your disciple, the result of this matter has been voted by the elder group. It can't be changed. Elder Hu gritted his teeth. His disciple was seriously injured, and it was related to their future interests in the Manchu. He certainly couldn't let Gu Qingyang make trouble. Sect master, nephew, what is my status in the Manchu? What are my duties and authority? Elder Gu Qingyang raised his head and strode forward a few steps, asking Sima taxing. Martial uncle is the second elder of the Manchu. You are the leader of the elder group and above all the elders. When necessary, you have the right to punish any disciple of the Manchu, including the elders. Sima taxing said. He looked at the hall. His glazed eyes were deep and bright. I've forgotten that I'm the second elder. When necessary, I have the right to punish any disciple of the Manchu, including the elders. Gu Qingyang softly said. His clear eyes flickered like lightning, causing Elder Hu and the others to feel a chill when they looked at him. Their bodies trembled for no reason. Then, Elder Gu Qingyang looked at Protector Hao and the others and said, Hu Zhishan, do you know your crime? Hearing this, Elder Hu and Hu Zhishan suddenly staggered. They looked at Elder Gu Qingyang and said, Elder Gu, I don't know what crime we have committed in the Manchu. You and the others connived at your disciples to commit outrages and offended your superiors. What is your crime? Elder Gu Qingyang said calmly. Elder Gu, when did our disciples commit outrages and offend our superiors? Elder, who was not convinced. He gritted his teeth and said, My disciple Xiaofu is of the same generation as you. Your disciples are naturally the younger generation. The younger generation dared to offend their superiors and besiege the elders of the Manchu. Aren't you conniving at your disciples to commit outrages? Aren't they offending their superiors? Elder Gu Qingyang said. Hearing this, Elder Hu and the others were speechless. Chao, Zhao, Chong Qinghai, and the others were naturally one generation younger than Du Xiaofu in terms of status in the Manchu. Offending one's superiors was a crime that could be big or small. Hu Zhishan, you and the others were disrespectful to me and did not put me in your eyes. This is your second crime. Elder Gu Qingyang looked directly at Hu Zhishan and the others and shouted, You will be punished for both crimes. Today, you will be removed from your positions as elders and sent to the Black Prison for half a year. What? When everyone in the hall heard this, their expressions changed drastically. Hu Zhishan and the others stood up and trembled. Their eyes flickered. Elder Gu, you have no right to do this. Removing an elder requires the presence of both the great elder and the third elder. An elder spoke, but his voice was trembling and he looked flustered. Master, little junior brother was sent to the Black Prison by the great elder. Yu Wanli was afraid that his master did not know, so he spoke to his master Gu Qingyang. I understand. Elder Gu Qingyang nodded calmly, as if he was not surprised. He looked at Hu Zhishan and the others and continued to shout, I will say it one last time. Do you admit your crimes? Elder Gu, don't go too far. Hu Zhishan gritted his teeth and shouted. He was an elder after all, and he could not be so weak. Presumptuous! Shouted Elder Gu Qingyang in a deep voice. His voice was like thunder. It made the entire palace shake. A terrifying qi erupted from his body, like a volcano. It looked like there were talismans in his eyes. He walked towards Hu Zhishan step by step. The elders on both sides moved back one after another. Seeing Elder Gu Qingyang walking towards them, Hu Zhishan and the other elders also retreated. Their eyes were filled with fear, and their bodies were trembling. Hurry up and find Elder Tianlu. Elder Hu and the others looked at each other. Seeing that the situation was not good, they retreated and tried to leave the hall. Stop right there! Elder Gu Qingyang shouted loudly. The entire hall trembled as if it was about to collapse. His white robe fluttered in the wind as a terrifying aura accompanied by dazzling talisman markings spread out. It struck Hu Zhishan and the others like lightning. Chapter 7:21. Puff, 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 puff. Elder Hu Zhishan and the others were all experts, but in front of Elder Gu Qingyang they were all sent flying. Blood spurted from their mouths as they crashed into the chairs in the hall and fell to the ground. In the hall, Hu Sanquin and the other elders were dumbfounded. Elder Gu, you've gone too far. Hu Zhishan got up. As an elder, he was embarrassed and embarrassed. He was furious, but he was even more terrified. He knew Elder Gu Qingyang's strength very well. Although the disciples under him were not too good, Elder Gu Qingyang's strength was abnormally strong. How dare you disrespect me? How dare you? This is unforgivable. Elder Gu Qingyang waved his hand, and the ancient sword on his back was suddenly unsheathed. It swept out like lightning, accompanied by a dazzling sword light. Don't! Hu Zhishan suddenly shouted. His eyes were filled with fear and his pupils contracted. There was a fear that came from his soul. In front of that terrifying aura, he did not even have the strength to resist. Chila, the sword light, swept past, and Hu Jishan's body was directly pierced through between his eyebrows. There was no blood, only runes. In the end, Hu Jishan's body went limp and fell to the ground. Even his primordial spirit could not escape. The entire hall was silent. Everyone was shocked. The elders who were originally with Hu Jishan trembled and did not dare to leave. Their eyes were filled with fear. No one thought that Elder Gu Qingyang would actually kill someone, and he even killed Elder Hu Jishan. It turned out that when Elder Gu Qingyang was angry, he was also so decisive. Sima Taxing, Yuanli, Elder Hu Sankuin, and the others were all astonished. Elder Gu Qingyang held the ancient sword, and his body emitted light. At this moment, he no longer had the temperament of a transcendent being. Instead, he was like a dormant, fierce beast that had been awakening and was about to erupt. Malignant tumor, if I had endured the pain and acted earlier and disregarded the feelings of others, perhaps things wouldn't have turned out this way. Am I too merciful? Or do you think I'm easy to bully? As Elder Gu Qingyang spoke, his white hair fluttered in the wind. He slowly walked towards the trembling elders, causing the elders' faces to turn deathly pale. Their bodies were like frightened little rabbits as they trembled incessantly. However, they didn't dare to retreat in the slightest. Chi! Elder Gu Qingyang stretched out his hand and grabbed at the air. Space was distorted, and there seemed to be lightning flashing in his clear eyes. In the end, he sucked an old man into his palm and held him in front of him, not daring to resist. No, no! Under the incessant pleading of the old elder, his face was as pale as ash. However, he did not dare to resist. This old man knew very well that given his strength, he simply stood no chance against Elder Gu Qingyang. Slap! Elder Gu Qingyang fiercely slapped the old man's face. Blood dripped from the old man's mouth, and his body was sent flying. In the end, he heavily crashed onto the floor of the palace, causing the entire palace to shake violently. Many people in the main hall were dumbfounded. Elder Gu Qingyang's attitude today had shocked everyone. No one had expected that Elder Gu Qingyang would have such a fierce side to him. It was frightening. All of you will be stripped of your position as elders and thrown into the black prison. Your sins will be judged by the sect leader. Elder Gu Qingyang said. His voice rumbled, and no one dared to resist. He then leaped and left the main hall. Elder Gu must have gone to the black prison. He's going to bring Du Xiaofu out. Elder Tian Lu will be guarding the black prison for the next few days. I'm afraid that there will be some clashes. As they watched Elder Gu Qingyang leave, the elders in the main hall lowered their heads and discussed, their expressions changing. All of you will be punished. If you dare to leave, you will be severely punished according to the sect's rules. Sima Taxing shouted at many elders who were trembling in fear. He looked down at the world, but then his face turned serious. Many people left the hall and headed for the black prison. In the dusky sky, there were continuous peaks that towered into the clouds. This was the location of the black prison. Usually, no one would dare to come here. The Gu Tian Manchu also had a rule that forbade the Manchuess disciples from approaching this place. Swoosh! In the calm sky, a long rainbow suddenly swept across the sky and appeared in the sky in a flash. Junior brother Qingyang, have you returned to the sect? Just as the long rainbow swept across the sky, a calm yet majestic voice rang out from the dusky sky. Although the voice was calm, it was enough to make people tremble for no reason. I've returned. If I didn't return, I'm afraid that my disciple would be gone. Senior brother Tianlu, you've crossed the line this time. The long rainbow figure floated in the air. As the light dissipated, Elder Gu Qingyang appeared. His eyes were like lightning as his white robe fluttered slightly. Why do you say that? Junior brother Qingyang, you seem to have a complaint against me? A faint voice rang out from the 5 towering peaks in front of him, causing the space to fluctuate. Swoosh, swoosh! In the distant sky, a large number of flowing light figures swept over and landed in the distance. They were Sima Taxing, Elder Husanquin, Yuanli, and the others. Senior Brother Tianlu, you've rarely walked outside these years. You're too numb and confused about some things. So many malignant tumors have appeared in the Manchu. Not only did you turn a blind eye to them, but you also secretly protected them. You've crossed the line. Runes flashed in Elder Gu Qingyang's eyes. For no reason, an aura slowly spread out from his body. Junior Brother Qingyang, you're offending your superior. Don't forget that I'm the great elder of the ancient heaven sect. In the mountain ahead, the majestic voice began to be filled with anger, causing the sky to fluctuate endlessly. Senior Brother Tianlu, I think the position of Great Elder is not suitable for you. Let me take it. Elder Gu Qingyang's voice was calm as he stood in front of the priest. At this moment, everyone's eyes trembled. No one had thought that Elder Gu Qingyang would treat the Great Elder in such a way. Ha ha ha! The mountain ahead was silent for a moment. Then, a burst of laughter resounded through the sky, causing the space to fluctuate. The voice then became cold as he shouted, Junior Brother Qingyang, are you trying to seize the position? I'm not seizing the position. I just think that you're confused. You're no longer suitable to be the great elder of the ancient heaven sect. You've caused a malignant tumor in the elder group. I think I'm not bad. I can become the great elder. Elder Gu Qingyang still said calmly, Junior Brother Qingyang, it seems that you think you can beat me. Then let me see how much your strength has improved over the years. The voice in the mountain ahead was extremely cold. Suddenly, a dazzling rune light spread out from one of the mountain peaks. Boom! A huge spatial handprint pressed down on Elder Gu Qingyang like Mount Tai. The entire space trembled as layers of spatial ripples spread out. The pressure was extremely powerful and terrifying. As the spatial handprint pressed down, Elder Gu Qingyang didn't move. He stretched out his hand, and a beam of light pierced through the space like lightning and landed on the spatial handprint. Chi la la! The spatial handprint was directly penetrated. It turned into dazzling runes and spread out, illuminating the sky like countless gorgeous fireworks. Chi chi! On the mountain peak in front of them, a figure landed. A vast aura rippled and rushed towards Elder Gu Qingyang like lightning. Elder Gu Qingyang moved. His figure turned into a beam of light. The runes were dazzling, and the two figures collided like meteorites. Bang, bang! The collision between the two was like a bomb exploding. It caused the sky to rumble. The spatial ripples spread out violently, shocking everyone's soul. It immediately attracted the attention of the entire ancient heaven sect. What's going on? There seems to be a big movement. At this moment, many disciples of the ancient heaven sect walked out and looked up at the sky. Rumble! The two figures were like lightning, constantly colliding in midair. Runes flickered, divine light surged, and boundless energy fluctuations made people's hearts tremble. However, no energy leaked out from this terrifying exchange. It was as if the two were deliberately controlling the situation in a controlled place. They didn't let the ground below be razed to the ground and cause a great loss of life. Elder Tianlu and Elder Gu Qingyang have sealed the space. They want to compete. Chapter 7:22. Their strength is too strong. It's hard to see their moves clearly. Too strong, too terrifying, many elders exclaimed. Even they couldn't see through Elder Tianlu and Elder Gu Qingyang's strength. They couldn't be compared. The intense battle in the sky could not be seen clearly. Only the thunderous explosions and dazzling runes could be heard. Junior Brother Qingyang, I didn't expect you to improve so quickly. Come out with your sword. That's your strongest move. Elder Tianlu shouted and waved his hand. His body was covered with rune armor, and his eyes were glowing with a yellow light. His attack was peerless and terrifying. As you wish. Elder Gu Qingyang unsheathed the ancient sword on his back. Sword radiance flashed and turned into a thunderous sword radiance. In the sky, he defended against Elder Tian Lu's attacks. What a powerful sword technique! Only Elder Gu Qingyang can cultivate the bright saint sword art to such a level in the entire ancient heaven sect. Elder Tian Lu is also strong, the surrounding people exclaimed. Although they could not see their moves clearly, they could feel their terrifying aura. Rumble, the commotion in the sky was incessant, shaking the universe as if it could destroy the heavens. The incomparably terrifying aura fluctuations were enough to destroy everything if it wasn't for the two of them sealing the sky. So strong! The surrounding elders felt their hearts ripple as they watched. That level of strength was something they couldn't compare to. Bang bang! Elder Tian Lu's figure was blurry and his body was covered in yellow light. His palm print covered the sky. Swoosh swoosh! Elder Gu Qingyang's sword radiance exploded. His sword radiance was like lightning and runes were blazing. His aura was vast and mighty, wreaking havoc in the sky. There was a shocking battle in the Black Prison. However, it was still calm in the Black Prison. Zhen Qingchen and Du Xiaofu were still falling. The Black Prison was like a bottomless pit. It was extremely terrifying, and the black, fiendish aura was getting denser. That aura seems to have disappeared. Du Xiaofu could already feel the aura, but then he realized that the aura had suddenly disappeared. Someone is spying on us. It doesn't seem to be a prisoner. All of a sudden, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory figure stopped. Then, as if he had suddenly discovered something, his body transformed into a ray of light and burrowed into the small pagoda in Du Xiaofu's arms. Du Xiaofu was slightly taken aback. While he was puzzled, an ancient and overbearing voice suddenly came from the bottomless pit and echoed in the vacuum. "Kid, why are you here? Why have you come to Black Prison?" After the voice sounded, a figure rushed out from the bottom of the bottomless Black Prison and appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked over and saw an old man in a loose golden robe. He was over 50 years old, and his eyes rippled with golden light. He looked like an overlord. He was staring at Du Xiaofu as if he was searching for something. "It's the venerable golden rock." When he saw the figure clearly, Du Xiaofu's eyes immediately rippled. He did not expect it to be the venerable golden rock that he had seen in the sealed land. He was actually in Black Prison. He immediately bowed and said, "Disciple greets the venerable golden rock." No need for formalities. The venerable golden rock smiled. The aura around him was as vast as the sea. His golden eyes were sharp and intimidating. Just looking at him would cause one's soul to collapse. However, he was full of smiles at Du Xiaofu. The spying earlier disappeared and was replaced by some confusion. "Venerable golden rock, why are you here?" Du Xiaofu asked in confusion. The appearance of the venerable golden rock made Du Xiaofu very confused. Could the aura that he had sensed earlier be the venerable golden rock? The venerable golden rock had comprehended the beastability of the golden-winged rock, so his aura was extremely special. The black, demonic aura here can refine the body of the golden-winged rock. "I came here to cultivate in seclusion in hopes of improving the beastability of the golden-winged rock," the venerable golden rock said. "Cultivating in seclusion here?" Du Xiaofu was shocked. The venerable golden rock had the body of a human, but he used the black, demonic aura to refine his body. This was not something that an ordinary person could do. It seemed like this venerable golden rock was not an ordinary person either. "Not long ago, I sensed the aura of a breakthrough in the Black Prison. It seems to be related to the golden-winged rock race." "Could it be you?" Suddenly, the venerable golden rock's gaze fell upon Du Xiaofu. His expression changed, and he said, "The martial king realm is mysterious. Did you really break through?" Du Xiaofu smiled and said, "I felt that the black, demonic aura could refine my body, so I tried to use it to refine my body. I did not expect to gain so many benefits. so I took the opportunity to break through." "You broke through so quickly." The venerable Goldenrock's eyes were filled with astonishment. He clearly knew that Du Xiaofu had just broken through to the martial king realm in the sealed land. In such a short time, this little guy had already broken through to the martial king realm. How could he not be shocked? In this world, how many people had such talent? "Why are you in the black prison?" After being stunned for a while, the venerable Goldenrock looked at Du Xiaofu in confusion. Du Xiaofu was stunned. He then smiled bitterly and said, "Venerable Goldenrock, let's not talk about this. You committed a crime and were sent to the black prison?" The venerable Golden Rock frowned. He knew what the black prison was for. "I'm not guilty. I just offended someone I shouldn't have," Du Xiaofu said. "Tell me about it." The venerable Goldenrock looked at Du Xiaofu's expression. An invisible aura fluctuated, revealing an unconcealable domineering and fierce aura. Du Xiaofu raised his head and then told the venerable Golden Rock about the situation. "It seems that they are getting more and more out of hand." Hearing this, the venerable Golden Rock looked at Du Xiaofu. His golden robe fluttered slightly as he murmured, "I didn't expect that after so many years you would be so bold. You even dared to ruin the hope of the ancient heaven sect. Unforgivable. This is not a good place. You're not strong enough. Leave this place first. It's dangerous down there. It's not a place you can go." The venerable Golden Rock then looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "I'll take you out of the black prison. Don't worry, I'll give you justice. Let's see who dares to touch you." Boom! In the sky above the black prison, the battle between the heavenly deer elder and the past elder lasted for half an hour, but the outcome was still undecided. In the terrifying light, superpowers were displayed and the beast energy was activated. It was a soul-shaking battle between the two top experts. Huff! The terrifying fighting intent and might caused the many elders of the ancient heaven sect to suck in a breath of cold air. If the two of them had not sealed off the battlefield, the entire ancient heaven sect would have been razed to the ground. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, tens of thousands of sword rays erupted in the sky like thunder. The dazzling sword rays and runes bloomed at the same time. The space fluctuated, and then someone was sent flying. Dang, dang! Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the great elder staggered back dozens of feet. His long hair was disheveled, and his yellow eyes were cold. At this moment, there was a bloody sword mark on the heavenly deer elder's shoulder, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The heavenly deer elder is suppressed. Elder Gu Qingyang is really strong. Some elders were endlessly shocked. Elder Gu Qingyang was so valiant. Not bad. It seems that junior brother Qingyang has not been idle these years. The heavenly deer elder's voice was cold. As soon as his voice fell, the aura around him began to swarm and tremble. The terrible energy suppressed the world and roared. The heavenly deer elder could not stand being suppressed by Gu Qingyang. He waved his hand, and a thunderous light gushed out from his palm, which then turned into an ancient dragon. Is he going to use his full strength? The surrounding elders whispered with shock in their eyes. Sima, taking Xing, floated in the air with a solemn expression. His glass-like eyes flickered with light, so deep that no one could see through them. Roar! The ancient dragon roared, making people tremble. It was connected to the world, and its pressure was unparalleled. It swept toward Gu Qingyang. Elder Gu Qingyang raised his head. The ancient sword in his hand floated in front of him, and when it left his hand, it buzzed like a dormant, fierce beast that was about to awaken. Gee! Suddenly, at this moment, a bird's cry resounded through the sky. The world suddenly trembled as if there was an extremely terrible qi appearing in the world. It really made everyone tremble in fear. Then, in the sky, a golden light suddenly shone, and a terrible, golden-winged rock phantom appeared. It covered the sky and the sun, and a domineering aura swept through the world. Boom! The terrible, golden-winged rock phantom soared through the sky, and its wings made the world rumble. Whoosh! Golden light permeated the surroundings, drowning out everything. The golden-winged Peng bird that blotted out the sun easily destroyed the ancient serpent dragon that Elder Tian Lu had condensed. The golden-winged rock is a beast. It's the venerable golden rock. Looking at the sky with trembling eyes, some elders guessed the identity of the newcomer and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The venerable golden rock had left many legends in the entire Zhongzhou. He was a powerhouse that the ancient heaven sect was proud of. He had a very high status in the Manchu. The venerable golden rock has come out. At this moment, Sima, taking Xing's tightly knitted brows, slightly relaxed. As if he had expected it, he murmured softly, "Did that kid alarm the venerable golden rock? It seems that he's fine." At this moment, Elder Heavendeer and Elder Gu Qingyang were also looking at the sky, and their eyes were changing. "All of you, stop!" At this moment, in the black dungeon, a domineering voice rose into the sky and resounded through the sky like thunder. Chapter 7:23. As the voice faded, two figures soared into the sky from the black prison. Then they appeared before the eyes of the crowd. A golden-robed figure stood in the air with a domineering aura. His eyes were like torches and flashed with golden runes. The golden-robed figure made people feel like they were facing a huge rock. It was so heavy that they couldn't breathe. His vast and domineering aura was boundless. Behind the golden-robed elder, a purple-robed youth stood. He was resolute and determined. His hair moved slightly and his eyes were deep. It was Du Xiaofu. "Greetings, Grand Master Golden Rock." "Greetings, Grand Elder Golden Rock." Seeing the golden-robed elder appear, the surrounding elders and protectors were stunned. They then bowed. Even the sect master, Sima Tashing, was no exception. He seemed to have expected the appearance of the honorable Golden Rock and thus wasn't surprised. "Greetings, Grand Master Golden Rock." Elder Gu Qingyang and Elder Tianlu were also surprised when the golden-robed Honorable Golden Rock appeared. They then bowed respectfully. The Honorable Golden Rock looked around and finally his gaze landed on Elder Gu Qingyang and Elder Tianlu. He said, "Du Xiaofu can enter and leave the black prison freely in the future." Hearing this, everyone was surprised and puzzled. They didn't understand the Honorable Golden Rock's words. No one could understand what he meant by allowing Du Xiaofu to enter and leave the black prison freely. "Grand Master, Du Xiaofu is cruel and merciless to his fellow sect members. He needs to be punished severely." Elder Tianlu looked up and said to the Honorable Golden Rock. "Tianlu." The Honorable Golden Rock roared like a demon god. He took a step forward and said, "Don't you understand my words? As an elder of the Manchu, you should act like one. I see that you have reached a bottleneck in your cultivation and it's time for you to break through. You are now the Grand Elder of the Manchu. Step down and cultivate in seclusion for 20 years. I hope you can break through within 20 years. The roar of the demon god was so overbearing that it seemed as if it was going to shatter the space. The stronger one's cultivation was, the more they could feel how terrifying that aura was. Elder Heavendeer's face was pale, and his yellow eyes were slightly lifeless. He didn't dare to say anything else. The surrounding elders were in awe. They never thought that the Golden Peng Supreme Expert would appear. Venerable Golden Rock's words were tactful. He wanted Elder Sky Deer to go into seclusion for 20 years. But in reality, he was directly removing Elder Sky Deer from his position as the Great Elder and forcing him to reflect on his mistakes for 20 years. With Elder Tian Lu's current status in the Manchu, this punishment was extremely severe. "Xiaofu, are you all right? Were you affected in the Black Dungeon?" Moments later, on Tianmu Peak, Elder Gu Qingyang carefully sized up Du Xiaofu in front of him. He was afraid that Du Xiaofu was missing a single hair. "This disciple is fine. I even took the opportunity to benefit from the disaster and broke through a layer." Du Xiaofu looked at the old man in front of him. He knew that his master had rushed back to the Manchu, killed Elder Hu Zhishan in the main hall, and fought a great battle with Elder Sky Deer. His heart was filled with warmth, and his clear eyes were filled with gratitude. "It's good that you're fine. I heard from your third senior brother that you won 3 championships in the Talisman League competition. Good job." Elder Gu Qingyang grinned, revealing his 2 front teeth. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being. His aura of a peerless expert was gone, but he still looked kind and benevolent. Elder Gu Qingyang's rosy face and clear eyes were filled with love and pride. The disciple in front of him was his pride. He broke through again. Yuanli stared at Du Xiaofu as though he had seen a ghost. He then smiled bitterly. Even Hu Zhishan and the others would never have thought that after trying so hard to get Du Xiaofu into the black prison, it would be a blessing in disguise for Du Xiaofu and allow him to break through to the next level. After chatting with his master, Elder Gu Qingyang, for a while, Du Xiaofu left Tianmu Peak and went to the Outer Sec's World Pavilion. The main streets that had been razed to the ground had been completely renovated in this half a month. It was even more spacious now. Under the planning of Gu Zong, Gu Zhangyu, and Wang Mingqiao, the World Pavilion was once again established. However, the rules of the World Pavilion didn't change. They only opened 4 times a month. These days, the news of Du Xiaofu being imprisoned in the Black Prison had spread like wildfire in the Manchu. It had caused countless discussions, and the members of the World Society were even more worried. Fortunately, the World Pavilion wasn't affected. On the contrary, after the incident with Chao Zhao and the rest, some factions didn't dare to provoke the World Society. When Du Xiaofu appeared in the World Pavilion, Gu Zhangyu and many other disciples were pleasantly surprised. However, Gu Zong, Wang Mingqiao, and the rest were cultivating and weren't in the World Pavilion today. After learning about the situation in the World Pavilion, Du Xiaofu was relieved. Elder Hu Zhishan was killed by his master. Elder Gu Qingyang and Elder Heavendeer was punished by the Golden Rock Grand Master to reflect on his mistakes for 20 years. The World Pavilion could be considered to be stable now. In the ancient Heaven sect, many big things happened in the next few days. Perhaps ordinary disciples wouldn't feel anything, but to the upper echelons of the Manchu, it was undoubtedly a violent upheaval. Elder Gu Qingyang became the Grand Elder of the Ancient Heaven sect, and no less than a dozen elders and protectors were directly sent to the Black Prison. Many protectors and deacons were removed from their positions, and many positions in the Manchu were replaced. Later on, news came out of the Manchu that Chao Zhao, Chang Qinghai, Fei Qingming by Yi Chen, and the other disciples had offended their superiors, acted recklessly, and didn't respect their elders. They were transferred out of the Manchu and exiled. Du Xiaofu won 3 championships in the Talisman League tournament and became the Manchu Talisman League leader, while Guzong and Mi Zixia became the 2 vice leaders. When the news spread, the disciples understood that some of the results had already been decided. The World Association had become the biggest winner. 5 days later, Du Xiaofu came out of the ancient desolate space and learned that the sect master's senior brother, Sima Taxing, was looking for him. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the main peak of the ancient heaven sect, it was the time for the sun to set again. The winding mountain peaks were illuminated by layers of clouds and mist, painting the distant mountain peaks and the high and low clouds with a golden luster. The cliff in front of the main peak was as straight as a knife. It was as if someone had used a giant axe to split the peak in half. The cliffs pierced the sky, and the sunset glow illuminated the clouds. It was a magnificent and unforgettable scene. I heard that you benefited from the disaster and broke through to the Martial King realm. In front of the cliff, Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu with a strange light fluctuating in his eyes. It was a coincidence, just an accident, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. Sima Taxing glanced at Du Xiaofu. He knew how long it was to reach the Martial King realm from the initial stage to the Martial King realm. Even the most talented people had to put in a lot of time. This guy was simply a freak who could break through at will. Suddenly, Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "About the black prison, do you blame me? Or do you think that my senior brother was too cowardly and couldn't protect you?" Du Xiaofu looked at Sima Taxing, shook his head, and said with a smile, "I know that senior brother is in trouble. I think that senior brother must have known that the Golden Rock Grandmaster was in the black prison." Sima Taxing Xing looked at Du Xiaofu and was taken aback. The corners of his mouth twitched as he said, "You seem to know everything. However, this time, your master actually lost his temper because of you. It's rare for him to be angry." Du Xiaofu smiled. When he thought of his master, Gu Qingyang, he felt warm in his heart. This kind of warmth was like when he drank with his alcoholic father. The warmth could spread from the bottom of his heart to the whole body. "I've called you here today mainly because there are a few things that I want to discuss with you." Sima Taking Xing looked at Du Xiaofu and said with a smile, "Your Xian Yuan pill and Berserk pill have appeared in the outside world and have already caused quite a stir. Also, your Xian Qi practitioner weapon that has been infused with beast energy is extremely popular outside. If you can sell it outside, there should be a huge market for it. My energy is limited. I'm afraid that I won't be able to pay attention to the outside world for the time being." Du Xiaofu looked at Sima Taxing as some ripples flashed across his clear eyes. "Your energy is limited. The Manchu can help you." Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu and said seriously, "Speaking of which, we are brothers of the same generation. I won't be polite with you. The Manchu thinks that your Xian Yuan pill and Berserk pill are pretty good, and the spirit increasing powder is a treasure. There is also the weapon forging method that infuses beast energy. As long as you hand over the pill formula and the method, you can ask for anything from me. As long as the Manchu can do it, we will satisfy you." Du Xiaofu did not hesitate and directly shook his head. He forced a smile and said, "To tell you the truth, before I entered the Ancient Heaven sect, I had a master. The spirit increasing powder, Xian Yuan pill, Berserk pill, and the weapon forging method were all taught by my master. Without the permission of the sect, I really can't make a decision." Sima Taxing stared at Du Xiaofu. He was not surprised by Du Xiaofu's words. The deacon was curious. What kind of expert was behind a disciple like this? The Xian Yuan pill, spirit increasing powder, and the weapon forging method were extraordinary. They definitely did not come from an ordinary person. There is room for negotiation. Xian Yuan, think about it carefully. Once you have made up your mind, you can come find me at any time." Sima Taxing stared at Du Xiaofu with a strange smile on his face. He said, "If you want to develop the Xian Yuan pill and Berserk pill, I'm afraid you alone won't be enough. Are you going to rely on the World Alliance or the Stone Dragon Empire?" The World Alliance, the Stone Dragon Empire. Du Xiaofu's heart suddenly trembled after hearing this. He stared at Sima Taxing. Chapter 724. Looking at Du Xiaofu's nervous expression, Sima Taxing smiled and said, "You are the brave God King of the Stone Dragon Empire. There is no need to be nervous. The Manchu has no ill intentions in investigating your background." Du Xiaofu was stunned. He took a deep breath and smiled bitterly. He said to Sima Taxing, "It seems that the Manchu has put in a lot of effort. Of course, it is not easy to find your background after searching for so long. However, you can rest assured in the future. The Manchu has already removed the traces you left outside. It is unlikely for outsiders to find your background. However, you have to be careful of the Divine Light Court. According to my understanding, the grudge between you and the Divine Light Court is not shallow." Sima Taxing paused for a moment and looked at Du Xiaofu. He smiled and said, "Well, you should think about my suggestion and give me your answer tomorrow. Also, the Symbol League has made its decision. You can go to the Symbol League to take a look when you have time. After all, the Symbol League has a special position in the Manchu." "Okay, I will think about it." Du Xiaofu nodded. After chatting with Sima Taxing for a while, he returned to the outer sect. He handed over some matters to Gu Zhangyu before returning to the Heaven Eye Peak. Tianwu Academy. This kid is actually from the Tianwu Academy. As the last rays of the setting sun dissipated, Sima Taxing looked at the sunset in front of a magnificent cliff and muttered, I wonder if the rumors are true. Is this kid's arrival a blessing or a curse for the ancient Heaven sect? At night, Du Xiaofu returned to the Heaven Eye Peak and entered the ancient desolate space. It seems that the ancient Heaven sect has their eyes on the Xianyuan pill and the Berserker pill. However, their more important target should be the spirit-increasing powder and the refining method left behind by your master, the venerable weapon. Zhen Qingquan's eyes moved slightly on his illusory face. That is why I came to ask for your opinion. If I am not willing, I believe the ancient Heaven sect will not make things difficult for me. Du Xiaofu said. That depends on how ambitious you are. Zhen Qingquan looked at Du Xiaofu and said softly, If you are not too ambitious, you do not need to care about the ancient Heaven sect. The pill formula taxing Qingquan, I will listen to you. Du Xiaofu said to Zhen Qingquan, Kid, if you are not ambitious, why do you care about the World Pavilion? If you are not ambitious, how would you have the World Alliance? Zhen Qingquan glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, Du Xiaofu, is Qingquan's SS? Is NDA? Is? Actually, the profound origin pill and berserk pill recipes are not that big of a deal. You can give them to the ancient Heaven sect, but you must sell them for a good price. You cannot let the ancient Heaven sect take advantage of you. Zhen Qingquan looked at Du Xiaofu and sternly said, However, the spirit increase powder is too precious, so you can't reveal it so easily. It'll be a great trump card for you in the future, and it'll give you a sliver of power to resist the ancient Heaven sect. The more ambitious you are, the more trump cards you have. What do you mean, Brother Qingquan? Looking at Zhen Qingquan, Du Xiaofu was slightly taken aback. Zhen Qingquan rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu and said, Stop pretending in front of me. Follow your heart. Just don't lose out. Thank you, Brother Qingquan. You are my real brother. Even closer than my real brother. Du Xiaofu smiled, his face full of smiles. The next morning, Du Xiaofu went to the main peak of Manchu again. In the side hall, Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu. His eyes flashed without leaving a trace as he said, Have you thought about it? I really cannot take out the spirit-increasing powder's recipe and refining method, but I can discuss the profound origin pill and berserk pill recipes. Du Xiaofu said, You cannot take out the spirit-increasing powder and refining method? Sima Taxing frowned slightly. Then he looked at Du Xiaofu and said with a smile, It's good that you can discuss it. What do you want? A batch of cultivation resources, profound origin pill, and berserk pill. I want 30% of the profits from the outside world unconditionally. In addition, I want 10 Taoist weapons, 50 high-grade Taoist weapons, 100 middle-grade Taoist weapons, 500 low-grade Taoist weapons, and 3,000 spiritual weapons. Du Xiaofu said. Hearing this, Sima Taxing immediately stood up and looked straight at Du Xiaofu. His glass-like eyes seemed to be about to pop out. He said, Boy, are you kidding me? You only took out 2 pill formulas. That's absolutely impossible. The price of the Xian Yuan pill and the berserk pill is already 3 times that of the same level of pills. In the ancient Heaven sect, the price can already be increased by dozens of times. However, the starting cost is not high. The profit is huge, and the popularity of the pills has already been proven. The profound origin pill and berserk pill recipes are also very special. They have no grades. The higher the quality of the main ingredients, the higher the grade of the pill. Du Xiaofu said to Sima Taxing seriously, That won't do. You are asking for too much. Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu and shook his head. This boy was asking for too much. He was even more ruthless than him. Then forget it. Du Xiaofu recorded his words and immediately turned to leave. Boy, stop right there. Sima Taxing was taken aback. He gritted his teeth and immediately stopped Du Xiaofu. He said, "Let's discuss." "Of course there is room for discussion. We can have a good discussion, but your request is too high. It must be lower." Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment. He turned around and said to Sima Taxing, "My request is already very low. It can't be lower, but we can still discuss it." Soon after, from early morning to early afternoon, there are sounds of argument coming out from the side hall for half a day. They won't fight, right? Protector Hao had been waiting quietly by the side outside the side hall. He could not help but worry that the two people inside would have the impulse to fight when he heard the loud shouts that occasionally rang out from within the side hall. However, Protector Hao could only smile bitterly. In this world, how many people of the younger generation could be like Du Xiaofu, who could negotiate with the dignified ancient heaven sect master, Sima Taxing, in a side hall until his face and neck were red? "Okay, then it's a deal. I can give you the pill recipes for the Xianyuan pill and the Berserk pill. In the future, I will provide the ancient heaven sect with the spirit increasing powder for 100 spirit symbol masters every year, but the price cannot be low. Even blood brothers have to settle accounts, clearly. I can also provide the refining method." Du Xiaofu squatted on the ground of the side hall and used a dagger in his hand to carve many numbers and lines on the ground. He pointed everywhere and said to Sima Taxing, who was also squatting on the ground with a red face, "But the ancient heaven sect must not give me any less cultivation resources. In addition, 5 middle-grade Dao treasures, 20 initial-grade Dao treasures, 100 high-grade Dao treasures, 200 middle-grade Dao treasures, 1,000 initial-grade Dao treasures, and 5,000 spirit treasures. In the future, I will receive 30% of the Xianyuan pills and Berserk pills. I can agree to other things, but you can only get 10% of the benefits from the Xianyuan pills and Berserk pills. Otherwise, there is no need to talk about it." Sima Taxing looked at Du Xiaofu with a red face. If it wasn't for the fact that he was the sect master of the ancient heaven sect, he would have wanted to kill this little vampire before him. "No need to talk then." Du Xiaofu did not budge an inch. "You are still a disciple of the ancient heaven sect. Brat, no matter what, I am still your senior brother and the sect master of the ancient heaven sect. You really won't give me any face?" Sima Taxing's glass-like eyes were red. It was as if the two of them were not having a discussion, but were having a battle. Even blood brothers have to settle accounts, clearly. Du Xiaofu did not back down. He stared at Sima Taxing and said, "If I wasn't a disciple of the ancient heaven sect, and you weren't my senior brother, I wouldn't have been able to provide the spirit increasing powder, the refining method to fuse beast energy, or the pill recipes for the Xianyuan pills and Berserk pills. For the sake of your master's love and protection, I will give you less. You should also give me some face." Sima Taxing glared at Du Xiaofu like a fighting cock. Unfortunately, no one could see the scene. 20%, at most 20%. This is my bottom line. If it really doesn't work, then I have no other choice. Du Xiaofu cursed in his heart. This sect master was really shameless. He was using his master to pressure him at this time. "Okay, deal." Sima Taxing fiercely gritted his teeth. He felt that he could not go any further, so he could only nod. After all, the spirit increasing powder and the refining method were extremely important to the development of the entire ancient heaven sect.